Chapter 722. Senior Ling Xiao, this is the Supreme Elder token of the Shura sect. Would you be willing to become the Supreme Elder of the Shura sect? The Shuran king took out a black token with a look of anticipation in his eyes. The young man in front of him might only be a half-step supreme now, but he was the strongest supreme 10,000 years ago. When he grew up, he would bring great benefits to the Shura sect. Over the years, the Shura sect and the Sky Demon Palace had many conflicts. However, the Shura sect had suffered a lot because of the great Sun Demon Venerable. Supreme Elder of the Shura sect? I have offended Luo Feng, and I am only a half-step supreme. Aren't you afraid that the Shura sect will be laughed at? Ling Xiao looked at the Shuran king with a faint smile. The Shuran king laughed and said, "Senior Ling Xiao, the world is ignorant. If they know your identity, the War God Shrine will not be able to sit still. I am looking forward to the moment when Senior Ling Xiao returns to the peak and announces to the world that you are the sky-devouring supreme." Ling Xiao smiled faintly and took the Grand Supreme Elder's token, saying, "All right, I will accept the Supreme Elder of the Shura sect. However, you must promise that Luo Feng will not find trouble with me again. Also, you must teach Lu Wan well. She is the descendant of Lu Gichen. If her heavenly star bloodline can be fully awakened, it will not be a problem for her to become a supreme in the future. Don't worry, Luo Feng will not find trouble with you again. You are saying that Lu Wan is the descendant of the heavenly star Lu Gichen?" The Shuran king quickly promised. However, when he heard that Lu Wan was the descendant of Lu Gichen, he was slightly shocked. Lu Gichen was one of the 7 direct disciples of Ling Xiao. The heavenly star bloodline was also one of the top bloodlines. Why would Ling Xiao not teach her himself? However, when he thought of Lu Tianfeng and Lu Wan, he understood Ling Xiao's intention. "Alright, don't worry. I will accept Lu Wan as my disciple. You have given me a peerless genius." The Shuran king smiled. "Also, I will be cultivating in the Shura battle tower for a few months before the chosen one. If there is nothing important, do not disturb me." Ling Xiao took the Supreme Elder's token and left the Azura Palace, leaving behind a message. Soon, the news of Ling Xiao becoming the Supreme Elder of the Azura sect spread throughout the Azura sect. Many of the Shura sect disciples were shocked. Their eyes were filled with disbelief. However, when they thought of Ling Xiao's insane combat power, they silently agreed. Although Ling Xiao's cultivation was only at the level of a half-honorable, he had the combat strength of an honorable. It was definitely the Shura sect's fortune to have such a peerless genius on the Azure Sky role willing to become the Supreme Elder of the Shura sect. It didn't take long for the news of the battle in the Flaming Mountain to spread. The news of Ling Xiao killing the leopard demon venerable on the Flaming Mountain shocked everyone. Killing 2 supreme martial artists in a row, Ling Xiao would probably advance a few places on the Azure Sky roll, right? This kind of heaven-defying battle prowess quickly spread throughout the War God continent. The entire War God continent was in an uproar. As for Lu Wan, she was announced to be the last disciple of the Shuran king. One had to know that in the entire Azura sect, only Li Jingming was the disciple of the Shuran king. Now, there was another disciple, Lu Wanheng. Everyone suddenly thought of Ling Xiao. Could it be that the sect leader suddenly accepting Lu Wan as a disciple had something to do with Ling Xiao? When Lu Wan heard the news, her face was filled with disbelief. In the end, tears streamed down her face. She couldn't understand why Ling Xiao would help her when she treated him so badly. At this moment, Ling Xiao had already entered the Azura Battle Tower. The Azura Battle Tower was a secret treasure of the Azura sect. It contained the 7 realms of Rakshasa, Azura, Great Azura, Azura, Azura King, Azura Venerable and Azura God. The Azura Battle Tower was a place to hone one's combat strength. The difficulty of breaking through each realm was 10 times or even 100 times more difficult than the previous realm. For example, Ling Xiao's cultivation was at the level of a half-honorable. In the Rakshasa realm, all his enemies were at the level of a half-honorable. In the Azura realm, his enemies were at the level of a half-honorable who had survived the Great Earth Tribulation. In the highest Azura realm, his enemies were at the 2nd level of the Venerable realm. The most important thing was that the enemies in each world were endless and they didn't fear death. The people who had been training in the Azura Battle Tower had all experienced the feeling of being on the edge of life and death. Therefore, training in the Azura Battle Tower was the fastest way to improve one's cultivation and combat strength. The battle maniacs in the Azura sect were all trained in the Azura Battle Tower. Ling Xiao knew that Li Jingming was now in the Azura Battle Tower. Beside the floating sacred mountain of the Azura sect, there was a huge black stone tower that was thousands of feet tall. It emitted an ancient and majestic aura. According to legend, the Azura Battle Tower was left behind by the founder of the Azura sect, the Azura war god who had ascended to the divine world. The longevity tower of the longevity sect was refined by Ling Xiao using the Azura Battle Tower as a reference. I want to enter the Azura Battle Tower. The Supreme Elder's token appeared in Ling Xiao's hand. Immediately, the disciples guarding the tower became extremely respectful. Supreme Elder Ling, please enter. Rumble. The huge door of the Azura Battle Tower slowly opened, emitting a bright light as if it was leading to another world. Ling Xiao instantly turned into a stream of light and entered the Azura Battle Tower. He's Supreme Elder Ling Xiao? He looks so young. He's so delicate and pretty. He's younger than me, right? How could he destroy Supreme Elder Luo Feng's sovereign celestial body? Shoo! Don't talk nonsense. This Supreme Elder Ling Xiao is a peerless genius that has ascended the ascension rankings. His natural talent is peerless, and he's peerlessly formidable. I witnessed the battle between him and Supreme Elder Luo Feng with my own 2 eyes. Senior Brother Wang, what's going on? Come and tell us. As soon as Ling Xiao entered the Azura Battle Tower, a group of disciples guarding the tower began to discuss. Their eyes were filled with incomparable curiosity. In the Azura Battle Tower, Ling Xiao appeared in a vast expanse of empty space, surrounded by a boundless wilderness. The air was filled with a terrifying baleful aura. As if it had smelled the aura of a living being, a terrifying roar was heard. A huge figure flew over from afar. It was a Rakshasa with a sharp horn on its head and dark brown skin. It was more than 3 feet tall and had black scales on its arms. Its eyes were filled with cruelty and bloodthirst. It had the cultivation of a half-step sovereign, which was the same as Ling Xiao's cultivation. Without any hesitation, it pounced on Ling Xiao. The Rakshasa was an ancient evil spirit. Although this Rakshasa was only a battle spirit condensed by the Azura Battle Tower, it retained the fighting instincts of a Rakshasa and was not afraid of death. Even a half-step sovereign would not be a match for such a Rakshasa. But unfortunately, it encountered Ling Xiao. Let's fight. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed and he immediately punched out. Chapter 723. Boom. Dazzling fist radiance swept across the sky. The Rakshasa was instantly blasted apart by Ling Xiao, turning into a cloud of black mist in the air. The Rakshasa was a battle spirit that was branded in the Shura Battle Tower. It could be revived indefinitely. Therefore, when Ling Xiao killed the Rakshasa, more than 10 Rakshasas appeared beside him, roaring as they charged towards him. These Rakshasas were extremely strong. They had copper skin and iron bones, and they were not afraid of death. They had extremely strong battle instincts. Even the disciples of the Shura sect who entered the Shura Battle Tower for the first time would find it difficult to deal with 1 Rakshasa, let alone more than 10 Rakshasas. Basically, if a disciple of the Shura sect was surrounded by more than 10 Rakshasas, he would immediately be teleported out of the Shura Battle Tower. However, the number of Rakshasas was meaningless to Ling Xiao. No matter how many Rakshasas there were, they could not withstand a single punch from Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao only felt the combat strength of the Rakshasas for a moment before he left the Rakshasa realm and arrived at the 2nd level of the Shura realm. In the Shura realm, the Shuras whose cultivation was comparable to the Great Earth Tribulation were even stronger. As soon as they saw Ling Xiao, they bared their fangs and brandished their claws. Rumble! The heavens and earth trembled as the fist radiance was dazzling. When one Azura was killed, more Azuras pounced on him. In the Shura realm, one could guide the Azuras according to their thoughts. Many disciples of the Shura sect started with 1 Azura, 2 Azuras, and gradually increased the difficulty. Who would be like Ling Xiao? As soon as he appeared, he led more than 100 Asuras to follow behind him and attack Ling Xiao. However, they all died in Ling Xiao's hands in the end. However, the Asuras in the Shura realm did not pose any difficulty to Ling Xiao. Rakshasa realm, Shura realm, Great Shura realm, Asura realm, Ling Xiao passed the levels extremely quickly. In just a few hours, he had reached the 5th level, the Shura King realm. Ling Xiao's actions also alarmed many of the experts who were cultivating in the Shura sect. Who is this guy? He's only a half-step supreme being. Isn't he too powerful? A group of Asuras comparable to the tribulation of 3 divine beasts was killed by him. His combat strength is terrifying. When I saw Senior Brother, he did not dare to be so impudent when facing a group of Asuras. Senior Brother, could it be that another peerless genius of Shura sect has appeared in our Shura sect? That's not right. This kid looks unfamiliar. Something big must have happened that we don't know about. Go out and ask. Ling the Shura sect was the Shura realm, where the Shura sect's disciples was. And many of Shura into of disciples were. The of Shura realm of Shura realm. Shura Shasasura. Of Supreme Shura. Shura of Elder Shura. 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 What? Ling Xiao? I've heard that in the Holy Ground, Ling Xiao was the one who saved the eldest brother. He is simply too fierce. I don't know how many levels of the Asura battle tower he can pass. The Shura sect's disciples soon learned of Ling Xiao's identity. Their eyes were filled with shock and admiration. The Shura sect's disciples worshipped the strong. Li Jingming was the idol of all the Shura sect's disciples. Now that they realized that Ling Xiao was even stronger, it immediately aroused their fanatical admiration. Many of the stronger disciples and elders gave up their training and followed Ling Xiao. They wanted to see how far Ling Xiao could go. In the Shura battle tower, as long as they hid their aura, they could even enter the Shura realm of the 7th Shura realm. However, the Shura realm was too strong. They were no match for it, so there was no point in entering. However, now that a freak like Ling Xiao had appeared, their curiosity was piqued. The 5th Shura realm. Ling Xiao had just arrived in this realm when he sensed the powerful aura on his body. Black light surged in front of him and instantly condensed into an Shura King. This Shura King was about 9 feet tall. He wore black armor and held a mace in his hand. His muscles were bulging, and he was filled with explosive power. His face was ugly, and his eyes were filled with ferocious murderous intent. Without saying a word, he instantly rushed toward Ling Xiao. His speed was extremely fast, and he was like a black divine light. His mace smashed toward Ling Xiao's head. The Shura King was comparable to a half-step sovereign in the tribulation of 4 symbols. This Shura King seemed to have retained his battle consciousness and combat strength. In Ling Xiao's opinion, he was only slightly weaker than the sky-burning demon emperor. Good timing. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed as he punched out. He had entered the Shura battle tower to sharpen his cultivation and condense his murderous intent. The first 4 levels of the Shura King's world were not a threat. But this level of the Shura King's world was a little interesting. Rumble. Ling Xiao was not in a hurry to kill this Shura King. Instead, he continued to familiarize himself with the Shura King's battle consciousness. Bit by bit, he neutralized the Shura King's mystical abilities. In the blink of an eye, he had exchanged over 100 blows. It had to be said that the Shura clan's battle talent was extremely strong. They could always seize the opportunity in an instant and attack in the most efficient and powerful way. If Ling Xiao was still in the same realm as when he fought the sky-burning demon emperor, this battle would not have ended so easily. However, Ling Xiao's combat strength had improved by leaps and bounds. He had even killed 2 supreme beings. Although this Shura King was strong, it was still no match for Ling Xiao. After 100 blows, Ling Xiao killed the Shura King with a single punch. Ling Xiao had originally planned to lure more Shura Kings, but he heard a very familiar voice. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed as he saw Li Jingming in a mountain range in the distance. He had just killed an Ashura king and was exuding an extremely powerful murderous aura. So it's Brother Li. Ling Xiao smiled slightly and went to greet Li Jingming. Brother Ling, you actually came to the Shura sect? Pa, you must have met the sect master, right? Is the sect master satisfied with you? If you're willing, I'll let you have my position as the great true disciple. Li Jingming was dressed in a black robe. His body was slender and handsome, and his black hair was flying in the wind. His face was handsome, and his eyes were extremely sharp. His entire body was exuding an extremely powerful battle intent. He was obviously very happy to see Ling Xiao. I've met the sect master, and I might have offended a supreme elder. Ling Xiao smiled and told him everything that had happened since he entered the Shura sect. What? You killed Supreme Elder Luo Feng's Supreme Being celestial body and became the Supreme Elder of the Shura sect? Li Jingming was completely shocked. His eyes were filled with disbelief. Chapter 724. After a long time, he laughed bitterly and said, I was working hard in my cultivation with the intention of fighting you. But now it would seem like the gap between us is growing wider and wider. You possess the brilliant accomplishment of annihilating an exalt, so you can even be ranked at the top of the ascension rankings. You're really a monster. Li Jingming had passed the 3 divine tribulations and his aura was extremely powerful. His essence, qi and spirit were condensed. Apparently, he had gained a lot of benefits in the holy ground, which allowed him to pass 2 tribulations in a year and improve his cultivation by leaps and bounds. It would not be long before Li Jingming could pass the fire tribulation and condense a supreme celestial body. At that time, even if he encountered the sky-burning demon emperor, he would be able to fight. After all, Ling Xiao knew how terrifying the Ashura Supreme Sutra was. The genius disciples of the Ashura sect were a group of battle maniacs. I was just lucky. Ling Xiao smiled slightly. Don't be so modest. In this Ashura king realm, I spent several days to kill an Ashura king. But in the end, you easily killed an Ashura king. The gap between us is just too great. You can continue to cultivate. When we leave the Ashura battle tower, we'll catch up. Li Jingming shook his head as if he had suffered a great blow. Okay. Ling Xiao smiled and said. He separated from Li Jingming and instantly released his powerful aura to attract the Ashura kings. Boom. Black light surged in the void and instantly, 18 Ashura kings appeared. Each of them had a terrifying aura and their eyes were burning with killing intent. They held various weapons in their hands and pounced on Ling Xiao. Good timing. 4 divine tribulations sky striking style. Ling Xiao's eyes were filled with powerful fighting intent. He instantly threw out a punch. The 4 divine tribulations shot up into the sky and transformed into the power of the 4 elements of earth, water, wind, and fire. They recreated the chaos and suppressed the 18 Ashura kings. Even a true sovereign expert would have to spend a lot of effort to deal with 18 Ashura kings. Ling Xiao's strength was too terrifying. Ling Xiao's roar was earth-shattering. His fighting intent was extremely powerful and he used the first 6 moves of the 7 limits divine techniques one after another. 4 divine tribulations sky striking style, 5 elements sky sealing style, 6 paths of reincarnation style, 7 stars sky shattering style, 8 desolation sky burning style, and 9 killing ultimate style. These 6 killer moves were all supreme killing techniques. They were extremely terrifying, and each of them represented a kind of extreme power. When facing Luo Feng's sovereign celestial body, Ling Xiao had killed him with the 9 kills to the end. Although Ling Xiao's cultivation base wasn't high enough to use the first 6 moves, with the help of the King Heaven Devourer Cauldron, he could still use them. As for the final move, the 10 Directions Annihilation style, it was a move that could devour all heavens and devour all. It was so terrifying that Ling Xiao didn't dare to use it lightly. With his current cultivation, if he were to forcefully execute this move, even if he didn't die, he would be heavily injured. In the Ashura King world, the sky trembled and the earth rumbled. If the Ashura battle tower wasn't a supreme treasure and its space hadn't been reinforced, it would have been destroyed by Ling Xiao's attack. But even so, after the 6 killer moves were executed, The 18 Azura kings were all killed by Ling Xiao. Not a single one was left. From off in the distance, Li Jingming watched the battle in a daze for a long moment before spitting out those words. The disciples of the Azura sect who had come with Ling Xiao also saw the result of the battle. Although they knew Ling Xiao's battle prowess was terrifying, they were still shocked. Those were 18 Azura kings, not 18 pigs. And yet, Ling Xiao had killed them just like that. After the 18 Shura kings were killed by Ling Xiao, 18 streaks of black baleful qi flew across the sky and condensed on Ling Xiao's body. It was the purest form of slaughter energy, and represented the essence of slaughter. It was the essence of the Azura battle spirit, also known as Azura power. The stronger the Azura power, the greater the boost to battle prowess. Ling Xiao smiled faintly, then vanished from the Azura king realm and entered the 6th level, the Azura sovereign world. The Azura sovereign world was a desolate and dilapidated place. Barren mountains were everywhere, and the sky was dark. Baleful energy gathered, making it seem like a place left behind by an ancient war, sealed within the Azura battle tower. A mere half-supreme brat dares to come to the Azura sovereign world? You've got guts. A cold voice resounded in the void, and a black light surged. Instantly, an Azura sovereign appeared in front of Ling Xiao. Rumble! A powerful and terrifying aura spread out, and it was as if the entire space was trembling. It was an old man who was only 10 feet tall. He looked like a human, but his face was still ugly. His nostrils were pointed up, and his eyes were sunken, as if 2 balls of ghostly fire were dancing in them. He stared at Ling Xiao, and his terrifying aura pressed down on Ling Xiao, as if he wanted Ling Xiao to kneel down. You still have your spiritual consciousness? Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. In his previous life, although he had some understanding of the Azura battle tower, he had never entered it. He didn't know that the Azura sovereign in the 6th level still had his spiritual consciousness. Although I'm only a battle spirit now, who dares to erase my spiritual consciousness? Even the heavens can't do it. Even the heavens can't do it. The Azura sovereign suddenly laughed wildly, and his eyes were filled with a cold and bloodthirsty light. Ling Xiao was speechless. This Azura sovereign looked like he still had his spiritual consciousness, but when he spoke, it was as if he had lost his mind. What's your name? Why are you in the Azura battle tower? Ling Xiao glanced at him indifferently. The Azura battle tower was incomparably mysterious. It was said that it was left behind by the ancestors of the Azura sect. However, when he saw the battle spirits in the Azura battle tower, Ling Xiao suddenly felt that the Azura sect was related to the Azura clan. The Azura clan was rumored to be a powerful clan in ancient times. The men were ugly and the women were beautiful, but they had the strongest fighting talent in the world. However, the Azura clan didn't exist in the War God continent. It was only a legend. Now that he had entered the Azura battle tower, Ling Xiao felt that there might be some secrets hidden in the Azura battle tower. What's my name? Yes, what's my name? No matter what my name is, my mission is to kill. You trespassed into the forbidden area, so I'll kill you. The Azura sovereign's eyes suddenly revealed a trace of doubt as he muttered to himself. Finally, his eyes flashed with killing intent, and he suddenly rushed towards Ling Xiao. Boom! The Azura sovereign struck out with his palm, and the sky shook. Endless black qi condensed, and finally turned into a huge palm print that slammed down towards Ling Xiao. The power of this palm was condensed to the extreme, and it carried an incomparably terrifying power of law. It was so exquisite that it seemed like it would smash Ling Xiao into pieces. The great Azura palm? A sharp glint flashed across Ling Xiao's eyes. What the venerable Azura used was the great Shura palm that Luo Feng used previously. However, in the hands of the venerable Azura, there was a magical power that was more than a few times stronger than Luo Feng's. Boom! Chapter 725. Kacha. The void trembled. Ling Xiao's punch was incomparably powerful. It was the ultimate sublimation of the 6 paths of reincarnation, but when it landed on the great Azura palm, it was as if it landed on empty air. The black light that filled the sky was swept away. As the great Shura palm swept across the sky, the heavens and earth darkened. It was as if there were terrifying palm prints everywhere. Hundreds of palm prints struck towards Ling Xiao. Rumble! Ling Xiao was shocked. He threw out hundreds of punches to shatter the palm prints in the sky. However, Ling Xiao realized that the Shura Venerable had only thrown out a single palm. This palm was extremely mysterious. It merged with the void of the heavens and earth. It was everywhere. Ling Xiao had to expend a lot of energy to break it. Bang! The Shura Venerable flew across the sky. His palm print swept across the sky. The terrifying Shura force swept across the area like a raging sea. It formed a terrifying domain of ominous aura and suppressed Ling Xiao. Kill! Ling Xiao's eyes were filled with fighting spirit. He could feel that the Shura Venerable was only at the first level of the Supreme Realm. However, his combat strength was much stronger than Luo Feng's sovereign celestial body. This wasn't determined by one's cultivation. It was determined by one's fighting instinct and control of the laws of the heavens and earth. Ling Xiao could faintly feel that the Shura Venerable's strength was far beyond the first level of the Supreme Realm. However, he could only display the strength of a first-level Supreme Realm expert because of the restrictions of the Shura Battle Tower. 7 stars sky-shattering style. Ling Xiao flew across the sky. His body was surrounded by a boundless divine light. 7 supreme stars flew out from his back and formed a huge starry fist print that enveloped the Shura Venerable. Ling Xiao could sense that the Shura Venerable had a strong fighting instinct. Therefore, he wanted to suppress his opponent with his strength and gradually control the rhythm of the battle. This battle was extremely difficult. Ling Xiao had executed the 4 elephants sky striking style and the 9 killing ultimate style. However, he only managed to put the Shura Venerable at a slight disadvantage. Rumble! Ling Xiao's figure flashed across the sky and collided violently with the Shura Venerable. The heavens and earth were filled with blazing lightning and surging black divine light. It was extremely terrifying. The disciples of the Shura sect had also concealed their auras and came to the Shura sovereign world. They wanted to witness Ling Xiao's cultivation. In the end, Li Jingming wasn't in the mood for the trial and came along with the other disciples. The battle between Ling Xiao and Venerable Azura shocked them all. Venerable Azura, that was a true supreme combat strength. Although it was only a battle spirit condensed from the Azura Battle Tower, its might was unparalleled. Even Li Jingming didn't have the courage to challenge Venerable Azura. That is a genuine supreme being. I heard that this is a peerless powerhouse condensed from a supreme battle spirit from ancient times. How terrifying! Ling Xiao is even more abnormal. He can actually fight with such a Jizuan to such an extent. Could it be that he wants to put on a show where he slaughters a Jizuan? Very likely, A heaven-defying peerless genius has finally appeared in our Azura sect. The eyes of many Shura sect disciples were filled with anticipation and fanaticism. The battle between Ling Xiao and Venerable Azura was not only shocking and terrifying, but it also benefited them greatly. After all, in the hands of Venerable Azura, the Shura sect's martial arts were displayed endlessly. It was incomparably exquisite. Just like the great Azura palm, a palm strike could shake the heavens and earth. The power of law condensed and could display the power of hundreds of palms. In the hands of Venerable Azura, the apocalyptic Azura saber was even more terrifying. Even though they were far away, everyone could feel the apocalyptic saber intent, as if it was going to destroy the world. Venerable Azura seemed to be excited. It had been a long time since he had fought to his heart's content. The Shura sect's peerless martial arts were transformed into something magical in his hands, erupting with incomparably terrifying power. Even if Ling Xiao had the 7 limits divine art of devouring heaven and destroying earth, this battle was still extremely difficult. This battle had nothing to do with cultivation, realm, combat strength, or martial arts. It was a battle of the most primitive battle consciousness and battle instinct. Ling Xiao suddenly realized that Venerable Azura's battle talent was too terrifying. It was even more terrifying than in his previous life. Who was this person? Why would his battle spirit appear in the Azura Battle Tower after his death? Kid, you are indeed very strong. This battle is delightful. If you can withstand my next attack, it will be your win. Venerable Ahura seemed to be a little deranged. He was incomparably excited. Sometimes he was talking nonsense, but other times he was like a normal person. He stared at Ling Xiao, who was opposite him, with incomparable sharpness in his eyes. His body exuded an incomparably terrifying battle intent. Boom! He moved instantly. A black divine light rose behind him, instantly turning into a black and gloomy saber light above the 9 heavens. The void began to tremble violently. A terrifying aura that seemed to be able to annihilate the heavens and earth spread out. The black saber light cut across the sky and slashed toward Ling Xiao. The speed of the saber seemed very slow, but in the blink of an eye, it was above Ling Xiao's head. Moreover, it gave people the feeling that it was unavoidable. Annihilation to destruction slash? Someone exclaimed. This was one of the supreme killing techniques recorded in the Ahura Supreme Sutra. It was said that when cultivated to the extreme, it could annihilate the heavens and earth, destroy all things, and slay gods and demons. Now that it was being used by Venerable Ahura, it was as if they were really witnessing that scene. The black saber light made Ling Xiao feel a sense of fatal danger. Ancestral Dragon Secret Skill, True Phoenix Secret Skill, Fuse. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed with sharpness. He shouted in his heart. Suddenly, 2 incomparably terrifying auras erupted from his body at the same time. Rumble! The heavens and earth trembled. The dragon's roar shook the heavens and the phoenix's cry reverberated. Behind Ling Xiao, a golden dragon and a 5-colored phoenix shrouded in flames seemed to slowly fuse into one, erupting with a force that shook the heavens and earth. Boom! The force swept across the heavens and earth. It was as if the entire Ahura tribulation had turned into a blazing ocean. Everyone seemed to have gone blind. Their eyes were filled with a vast expanse of white, and they couldn't see anything clearly. This was the power of the fusion of the secret skills. It caused the heavens and earth to tremble, and the gods to tremble. It was as if the sun, moon, and stars were about to fall from the 9 heavens. This is Auspicious Dragon and Phoenix? Auspicious Dragon and Phoenix. Ahura returns to his hometown. I've been waiting for this for so long. I've finally waited for it. Venerable Ahura's eyes flashed with incomparable brilliance. Suddenly he laughed wildly. Before this power, not only was the black saber ray unable to withstand it, but even exalted Ahura was instantly melted like snow. Boom! Chapter 726. When the Shura sect's disciples opened their eyes again, their eyes were filled with shock. The nirvana slash to the end was broken by Ling Xiao. Moreover, the powerful battle spirit was also killed by Ling Xiao. Although they knew that Ling Xiao's combat strength was terrifying, they were still shocked when they saw it with their own eyes. Dragon and Phoenix bring prosperity, Shura returns to home? What does that mean? Ling Xiao was shocked. He never thought that the Ahura Venerable would be able to see through the fusion of the Ancestral Dragon Secret Skill and the True Phoenix Secret Skill. Furthermore, the Ahura Venerable had said such strange words. It seems that there are many secrets hidden in the Shura Battle Tower. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. Without greeting the Shura sect's disciples, he turned into a ray of light and entered the 7th floor of the Shura Battle Tower. Shura Divine World. According to legend, the Shura Battle Tower was the most mysterious and powerful world. The Shura Divine World was a desolate world. In the history of the Shura sect, no one except the Shura sect's ancestor could defeat the battle spirit of the Shura Divine World. Therefore, the battle spirit of the Shura Divine World was also known as the Shura God. It was invincible, powerful, and unparalleled. Even 10,000 years ago, the most talented Shura Venerable in the history of the Shura sect had not been able to reach the 7th floor. Ling Xiao went to the Shura Divine World? Let's go and see. The Shura sect's disciples came back to their senses and wanted to enter the Shura Divine World. Boom! Suddenly, the Shura Divine World emitted a strong repelling force. The light was dazzling and covered the entire Shura Divine World. No one could enter the Shura Divine World. Oh no! Why can't we enter the Shura Divine World? Someone's face changed and his eyes were filled with shock. However, what happened next shocked them even more. The Shura battle tower shone brightly and an ancient, mysterious, and vast aura burst out. At this moment, everyone was repelled from the Shura battle tower. The Shura battle tower was surrounded by a black Shura force. No one could enter the Shura battle tower anymore. What's wrong with the Shura battle tower? Why can't we go in? Quickly report this to the sect leader. Ling Xiao defeated that sovereign from the Shura sovereign world, and then this happened. Could it be that this has something to do with Ling Xiao? Many disciples were bewildered, and their eyes were filled with shock. Since the founding of the Azura sect, the Azura battle tower had been the supreme treasure of the Azura sect. Such a situation had never occurred before. Even Li Jingming was deeply worried. He quickly flew towards the Azura palace, wanting to inform the Shuran king about what had happened here. He faintly guessed that perhaps this matter really had something to do with Ling Xiao, but he did not dare to be sure. In the end, he still needed the Xiao human monarch to make the decision. In the Azura divine world. This was a desolate world. It looked like a real world. In the distance, mountain ranges rose and fell continuously. Ancient trees towered into the sky. It was full of vitality. When Ling Xiao arrived, he saw black light surging in front of him, and an old figure appeared in front of him. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. He didn't expect it to be Venerable Azura. However, although the Venerable Azura before him looked very old and withered, there was a domineering aura around him that seemed to be able to dominate the world. His eyes were bright and sharp, deep and full of vicissitudes. It was as if he had seen the birth and death of an endless world. "Who are you?" Ling Xiao asked calmly. He faintly felt that the Venerable Azura in front of him had a terrifying aura. It was even stronger than a titled sovereign. It was similar to the nine-tailed celestial fox and the monster saint. Could it be that this was a true godly realm expert? Thinking of this, Ling Xiao's heart trembled. The Venerable Azura looked at Ling Xiao indifferently. There was a hint of emotion in his eyes as he said, "After 1,000,000 years, you've finally come." "You know me?" Ling Xiao frowned. "No, I don't." The Venerable Azura said indifferently. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed as he said, "Dragon and Phoenix are auspicious. What does Azura return to home mean?" Since the Venerable Azura in front of him didn't know him, that was probably the only explanation. It's the literal meaning. As long as the dragon and phoenix are auspicious, the Azura clan can truly return to their homeland. Venerable Shura said with a sigh. The Azura clan? Or you? What's your relationship with the Azura clan? Ling Xiao asked the same question again. At the same time, his heart trembled. Why would the Azura clan be able to return to their homeland when the dragon and phoenix are auspicious? I'm Night Rain, the last clan leader of the Azura clan. The Venerable Azura said slowly. There was a hint of sadness in his eyes. The last clan leader of the Azura clan? What does that mean? Ling Xiao frowned slightly. In other words, I'm the last clan leader of the Azura clan. After I die, the Azura clan will be completely extinct. Night Rain stood in front of Ling Xiao and said slowly. Although he was just a battle spirit, Ling Xiao could see the despair, anger, and sadness in his eyes. Little friend, do you want to hear the story of the Azura clan? Night Rain sighed and said slowly. All right. Ling Xiao nodded. He had many doubts in his heart. The Azura clan originally lived in the Azura Great World. We walked from the Desolation era to the Great World. Finally, under the leadership of our ancestors, we battled the heavens, the earth, and thousands of living beings. We battled time and the heavens and finally became the overlords and rulers of the Azura Great World. Night Rain said slowly. There was a hint of nostalgia in his eyes. The Azura clan doesn't respect the heavens or the earth. We only respect our parents and ancestor god Azura. We lived in the Azura Great World for countless years. Martial arts flourished there and thousands of living beings were united. Although the Azura clan loved to fight, we didn't restrict the development of thousands of living beings. This made the Azura Great World one of the strongest worlds in the universe. Martial arts flourished to the extreme. However, the good times didn't last long. 1,000,000 years ago, the extraterrestrial demons invaded and swept across the universe. My war god world was also dragged into the flames of war. Countless living beings died. Thousands of living beings cried in grief. Countless martial arts experts advanced dauntlessly, but they all died in the hands of the extraterrestrial demons. The entire Azura Great World was almost wiped out. I brought the remaining members of the Azura clan through the endless void and came to the war god world. We joined the Scarlet Dragon War God and participated in that earth-shattering battle. Chapter 727. It could be seen that although Night Rain was just a battle spirit, her memory was very clear and her words were very organized. The truth of 1,000,000 years ago unfolded bit by bit in front of Ling Xiao. Were there invasions of the extraterritorial demons in all the worlds? Ling Xiao's eyes trembled, and many doubts in his heart began to be solved. He originally thought that the so-called invasion of the extraterritorial demons was the invasion of the war god Great World by powerhouses from other worlds, but now it seemed that this was not the case. If there were invasions of the extraterritorial demons in all the worlds, then where did the extraterritorial demons come from? How could their strength be so terrifying? Ling Xiao was now certain that the Scarlet Dragon War God and his 4 great generals, Monster Sage, Buddha Lord, Moon Mother, and Spirit Sage, were all god-level powerhouses. Otherwise, they would not be able to resist the extraterritorial demons. And now it seemed that the patriarchs of the Nine-Tailed Fox clan, the Shura clan, and even Panguchu, who Ling Xiao had met in the Reincarnation Sea, were very likely god-level powerhouses. The great calamity 1,000,000 years ago was far more terrifying than Ling Xiao had imagined. Night Rain continued, before the great calamity 1,000,000 years ago, martial arts in all the worlds flourished to the extreme. Countless powerhouses from each world ascended to the god world and obtained eternal life. But in the great calamity 1,000,000 years ago, countless creatures died, and all the worlds fell into darkness. My Shura clan's powerhouses died one by one in front of me, but I was powerless. Who could understand that kind of despair and pain? In the end, I also followed in their footsteps and died at the hands of a heavenly demon god. My mortal body was torn apart, not even my bones remained, and my primordial spirit was extinguished. All that was left behind was a battle spirit mark in the Azura War Tower. Before dying, the high priest of the Shura clan burned his life to deduce fate. He saw the end of the river of fate, and also saw the hope of my Shura clan. He left behind these words, "Dragon and Phoenix bring prosperity, Shura returned to home. But today, I've finally been waiting for you." The last martial skill you used was exactly the same as what the high priest saw. Thus, my battle spirit has survived for 1,000,000 years, all for the sake of waiting for you. Waiting for you to bring the bones of my Azura clan back to Azura Great World. Night Rain looked at Ling Xiao, her eyes full of sadness. Dragon and Phoenix, Azura returning home? The high priest of the Azura clan is truly a genius, to be able to see the fate of millions of years ago. Ling Xiao sighed softly. His gaze landed on Yi Yu as he said slowly, the Azura clan has extremely strong combat talent. They sacrificed themselves for the great calamity 10,000 years ago and their entire clan was annihilated. It is truly pitiful and respectable. If you need it, after I become a supreme being, I will definitely cross the void and return to the Azura Great World with the remains of the Azura clan. Ling Xiao's eyes were also filled with admiration. The Azura clan had been completely annihilated. From this, one could see how tragic that calamity was. Even Ling Xiao's heart was filled with respect. Therefore, Ling Xiao was more than willing to bring the corpses of the Shura clan members back to their homeland. However, Ling Xiao also had some doubts. The high priest of the Shura race had seen the river of fate and waited for Ling Xiao 1,000,000 years later. Was it really as simple as just sending Ling Xiao back to the Shura race? Ling Xiao suddenly thought of something and hurriedly asked, "Senior, how do we determine the members of the Azura clan? Are there really no members of the Azura clan left in this world? What about the Azura sect?" Night Rain slowly said, 1,000,000 years ago, before I died, I gave the ultimate treasure of the Shura clan, the Shura Battle Tower, to a human powerhouse. I also passed on the martial arts of the Shura clan to him, and he created the Shura sect. Although the Ashura clan has been annihilated, the martial arts of the Ashura clan should be passed down. However, although humans can cultivate the martial arts of the Ashura clan, there are many skills that can only be understood by those with the bloodline of the Ashura clan. Therefore, the martial arts of the Ashura sect are not complete. This is also one of my obsessions. In this world, there are no more members of the Ashura clan. Because 1,000,000 years ago, they all died. The Ashura clan was born in the darkness and died in the darkness. Only those with the pure bloodline of darkness can be considered members of the Ashura clan. As for the many geniuses of the Ashura sect, they are only pure humans. Perhaps they were influenced by the martial arts of the Ashura clan, but they are not true members of the Ashura clan. Bloodline of darkness? Ling Zhao's body shook. He looked at Yi Yu with a faint smile. Clan leader Yi, perhaps there are still members of the Ashura clan alive in this world. What? Yi Yu's eyes shook as he suddenly looked at Ling Zhao. A terrifying aura came from his body that seemed to cause the entire space to tremble. Because I've seen someone with the bloodline of darkness. Ling Zhao said with a faint smile. Where is it? Yi Yu's breathing quickened, and her eyes were filled with excitement. What a coincidence, it's with me. Ling Zhao said with a faint smile. He was naturally talking about the siblings Yi Feng and Yi Meng. After the holy ground ended, the siblings had been in the heavenly god's stone. They used the steps outside the divine king palace to cultivate and sharpen their cultivation. Ling Zhao had even given the heavenly book of darkness to the siblings, treating them as Yi Qianjue's descendants and carefully raising them. Through his conversation with Yi Yu, Ling Zhao could tell that what Yi Yu said was true. Moreover, Yi was only a battle spirit. His true primordial spirit had dissipated long ago. There was no meaning in lying to Ling Zhao. Therefore, Ling Zhao decided to tell him about Yi Feng and Yi Meng. With a flash of light, Yi Feng and Yi Meng came out of the heavenly god's stone. Saint, where is this? Yi Feng and Yi Meng looked around, then glanced at Yi Yu curiously and asked. After seeing Yi Feng and Yi Meng, he felt a familiar bloodline aura. It was the bloodline of darkness without a doubt. Yi Yu instantly became excited. The heavens didn't destroy my Ashura clan. The heavens didn't destroy my Ashura clan. I understand, I finally understand. So the dragon and phoenix are auspicious. The Ashura clan has returned to their homeland. It means that my Ashura clan still has true bloodline descendants in this world. Yi Yu began to shout excitedly. Her eyes were filled with excitement, and her eyes had even turned red. After 1,000,000 years of waiting, he thought that the Ashura clan had truly perished. However, Ling Zhao brought him hope today. He told him that the Ashura clan still had descendants in this world. After such a long period of despair, this glimmer of hope made Yi Yu so excited that he was about to go crazy. He was certain that Yi Feng and Yi Meng were members of the Ashura clan. Yi Feng and Yi Meng also looked at Yi Yu curiously. Their bloodline of darkness had completely awakened and their senses were very sharp. They could feel an aura from Yi Yu that made them feel a sense of attachment and intimacy. Chapter 728. 10,000 years ago, Yi Qianjue also had the dark bloodline and was one of Ling Zhao's 7 direct disciples. But even Ling Zhao didn't know the origin of the dark bloodline. Who would have thought that the dark bloodline was the descendant of the Ashura clan? Yi Feng and Yi Meng were probably the only ones with the dark bloodline left in the entire War God continent. The human race is indeed a race blessed by the heavens and earth. The born Dao body can contain everything. I didn't think that even the bloodline of the Ashura clan would be passed down. But to truly become a member of the Ashura clan, awakening the dark bloodline isn't enough. There is still the final step, which is to worship the Ashura ancestor god. Yi Yu looked at Yi Feng and Yi Meng as if he was looking at 2 treasures. His eyes were filled with excitement. Ling Zhao had already told the 2 siblings about the Ashura clan. Their eyes widened and their faces were filled with disbelief. They didn't think that the dark bloodline would have such a great origin. Coming from the distant Ashura great world and fighting against the calamity of 1,000,000 years ago, all of this sounded so unbelievable. Yi Yu waved his hand and an ancient and mysterious door appeared in front of everyone. "Follow me. Little friend Ling Xiao, come with us," Yi Yu said slowly as she took the lead and stepped into the ancient door. Ling Xiao, Yi Feng, and Yi Meng also followed in. Rumble. This was a black space, filled with a dark aura. It emitted a mysterious azure power, boundless and ancient. But Ling Xiao could see that there were countless corpses in this black space. There were at least 10,000 of them. Every single corpse exuded an extremely terrifying aura, and they were in an extremely miserable state. Some of them had a hole pierced between their eyebrows, some were severed at the waist, some only had their heads left, and some still had their eyes open, dying with everlasting regret. Ling Xiao felt the dense Azura aura and instantly understood that these should be members of the Azura clan. They died just like that in this mysterious space. There was a solemn and dignified aura that filled the air. Ling Xiao could feel that the weakest of these 10,000 Azura corpses were emperors. There were even many powerful supremes. All of them had died here without a sound. This is the 8th floor of the Azura Battle Tower. It is also the forbidden land of my Azura clan. In the Great Calamity a million years ago, almost all of the Azura clansmen who died in battle are here. Yi Yu said slowly, his eyes filled with desolation. He was like a gravekeeper who was familiar with every single corpse here. He had guarded them for a million years, but he still couldn't bring them back to their hometowns. "Senior Yi, why don't you look for the Shura clan's patriarchs and ask them to send the Shura clan's martyrs back to the Shura Great World? As long as you become a supreme, you should be able to travel through the void and travel to other worlds, right?" Ling Xiao sighed softly and asked slowly. "Impossible." Night Rain shook her head and said slowly, "When we left the Shura world, it was almost broken. Without the coordinates, even the gods would not be able to find the location of the Shura world, let alone the sovereigns. Moreover, I believe in the High Priest. He is the wisest person in the Azura clan. He can see through fate, so I have waited here for a million years." "A great world has collapsed?" Ling Xiao was shocked. The catastrophe a million years ago was indeed terrifying, but the power to collapse a world, such as the war god Great World, was not something that even the real gods could do. It was obvious that the Shura world had gone through a terrible war. "Ling Xiao, you were able to send Yi Feng and Yi Meng to my side and let me see the hope of the Shura clan. You are the benefactor of the Shura clan. I would like to invite you to become the High Priest of the Shura clan. Please don't refuse." Night Rain's eyes showed a trace of sincerity as she spoke slowly. "The High Priest of the Shura clan? I am not a member of the Shura clan, and I don't have the power of fate like the High Priest." Ling Xiao was stunned for a moment, then smiled bitterly. The High Priest of the Shura clan had burned his life force to see the river of fate a million years later. He had also left behind the 8 words, "Dragon and Phoenix bring prosperity, Shura return to home." This kind of power that could see through fate and time shocked Ling Xiao. Perhaps even the gods did not have such power. Perhaps the gods could touch the power of time, but the power of fate was a taboo for the gods. Night Rain smiled and pointed into the distance, saying, "That is what the High Priest left behind after he died." The High Priest saw in the long river of fate that the person with the dragon and phoenix was the one who inherited his legacy. "Go and give it a try. If you succeed, you will be the High Priest of the Shura clan. If you fail, it is okay." Night Rain pointed at a mysterious altar in the middle of all the Shura clan corpses. It looked very mysterious, and there were a few things on top of the altar. Ling Xiao only glanced at it, but his heart trembled, as if his primordial spirit was about to shatter. Ling Xiao was about to say something when the wordless heavenly book in his mind trembled slightly. It emitted an extremely bright light, and with some kind of wave of desire, it led Ling Xiao to it. Ling Xiao could not help but feel moved. He nodded and said, "All right, since Senior Night Rain is so fond of me, I will give it a try." "Thank you. Next, I will complete the final ceremony for Yi Feng and Yi Meng and pass on the Shura clan's legacy to them." Night Rain smiled and said, "Senior, please do as you wish." Ling Xiao nodded and said, "Buzz." Night Rain looked at Ling Xiao and waved his sleeve. Suddenly, a black light surged and enveloped him, Yi Feng, and Yi Meng. In an instant, they disappeared into the void. Ling Zhao's eyes flashed, and he slowly walked toward the altar in the distance. This space exuded a rich Shura power, and it had an extremely mysterious concept. It was a sacred place to comprehend martial arts and laws. However, Ling Zhao did not cultivate. Instead, his gaze fell on the altar. He was curious as to why the item left behind by the high priest of the Shura clan would cause the wordless heavenly book to tremble. The altar did not look big. It was 90 feet tall and was made of some kind of black stone. It looked as if it was going to swallow all light. There were 2 items on the altar. One was a black animal skin scroll, and the other was a bracelet made of black bones. The animal skin scroll was made of some powerful beast's skin, but it had an extremely mysterious wave that caused the wordless heavenly book to tremble violently. Chapter 729. Wang. A faint black light spread out, and dozens of ancient runes appeared on the scroll. They looked very mysterious, and Ling Zhao did not recognize any of them. These dozens of ancient runes intertwined with each other, as if they contained a mysterious power of destiny. It made people feel like they were immersed in it. This is... Ling Zhao's body shook, and his sea of consciousness shone brightly. In his golden primordial spirit, 97 ancient runes slowly appeared. Of these 97 ancient runes, 81 were found in the black coffin on the underworld ship, and 16 were found in the celestial stone, on the stone tablet in front of the deity king's palace. Ling Zhao did not expect that the scroll left behind by the Azura tribe's high priest would also have these ancient runes. A total of 63 ancient runes rushed out of the scroll, turning into a dazzling stream of light, and merged into Ling Zhao's sea of consciousness, becoming one with the 97 ancient runes. Rumble! It was as if a dazzling divine light was lingering. The 160 ancient runes looked mysterious, as if they had turned into a mysterious robe, draping over Ling Zhao's primordial spirit. Ling Zhao still did not recognize any of the 160 ancient runes, but they intertwined with each other, forming a mysterious river that contained the power of destiny. Could it be? Could it be that the Azura tribe's high priest calculated the river of destiny from these ancient runes? Ling Zhao's eyes trembled, and he felt more and more that these ancient runes were mysterious. The wordless heavenly book in Ling Zhao's sea of consciousness trembled slightly, as if it longed for the 160 ancient runes, but it also had a feeling of fear and resistance. In the end, it trembled and reluctantly withdrew its light. These 160 ancient runes were the second thing that Ling Zhao saw that the wordless heavenly book was afraid of. The first was the Black Bone Man. But other than that, it was not even afraid of the wordless heavenly book. What are these ancient runes? Ling Zhao's interest was piqued, and he began to carefully study the mysteries of these ancient runes. But no matter how much he studied, he had no clue at all. These ancient runes looked very mysterious, as if they contained the power of some law, but he seemed to be blocked outside, unable to enter. Could it be related to this bracelet? Ling Zhao picked up the bracelet on the altar. There were a total of 49 black bones on the bracelet. They felt as smooth as jade to the touch. It was unknown what kind of demonic beast's bones were used to make this bracelet. Ling Zhao thought for a moment and put the bracelet on his wrist. Boom! The bracelet instantly emitted a bright light, and a mysterious and ancient aura spread out. The bracelet instantly fused into Ling Zhao's body, and the 49 bones simultaneously turned into a stretch of resplendent runes and majestic information flow, manifesting in Ling Zhao's consciousness. Observing the Tao of the heavens, carrying out the heavens, all living beings in the heavens, the gods of fate, a mysterious scripture began to appear in Ling Zhao's sea of consciousness. Rumble! Boundless primal chaos chi permeated the air. Ling Zhao felt as though he had arrived at the beginning of the immemorial era. He saw an ancient and mysterious old man sitting cross-legged amidst the endless stars, looking at a world that was born from the darkness. He is the high priest of the Azura race? Ling Zhao's body trembled. Although he didn't know why, he believed that the old man was the high priest of the Azura race. The world that was born from the darkness was also extremely mysterious. It was completely different from the war god continent. It was as though the darkness was an eternal source of energy. Countless living beings were born, and they multiplied. Finally, they participated in the heavens and earth, propagating the martial Tao and conquering the heavens and earth. They all wanted to become the rulers of the world. Ling Xiao saw that there seemed to be a line above the head of every living being. It gathered together like a long river, slowly appearing in front of the old man. The old man was like an unchanging mountain rock, ancient and mysterious. He stared indifferently at the long river in front of him, not saying a word. Ling Xiao even saw the experts of the Azura race being born from the darkness source. They fought against the heavens and earth, fighting against all living beings. In the end, they fought against the heavens and earth, becoming the pig-trotters of that world for eternity. The old man sighed and turned into a stream of light, merging into the world of the Azura race, becoming the high priest of the Azura race. Those mysterious lines grew more and more, and the long river spread out. It came from the darkness, went into the light, and finally gathered in an incomparably vast and majestic river. That river was mysterious, ancient, vast, and majestic. No one could describe its greatness. It was as if even God realm experts were just a drop in the ocean in front of that river. Is that the river of fate? Ling Xiao's body trembled, his eyes filled with disbelief. Those lines were like the fate of every living being. They were like marionettes, being manipulated without them knowing. On a certain day, a black fist fell from the 9 heavens, slamming into that vast river. Instantly, the heavens and earth trembled, and the boundless great world collapsed. The river stirred up huge waves, and countless law lines collapsed. Ling Xiao saw that the extraterrestrial demons had invaded. Countless living beings died in battle. Every time a living being died in battle, a line would collapse, and the heavens and earth would begin to wither. Who is it that dares to punch the river of fate? Could it be that this is the truth behind the invasion of the extraterrestrial demons? Ling Xiao's eyes were filled with shock, and his eyes were filled with disbelief. Those lines of fate could be touched, and at the same time, Ling Xiao thought of many things. Who was controlling fate? Who was controlling life and death? This could be said to be an eternal question. Every cultivator studied the heavens and earth and went against the heavens, but in the end, they all wanted to solve this question. Ling Xiao faintly felt that perhaps he had seen some incredible secret. Rumble. As if someone had noticed Ling Xiao's spying, a cold snort sounded. The heavens trembled and countless great worlds collapsed. The scene in front of Ling Xiao also shattered. Buzz. The 49 black bones emitted a resplendent light, instantly protecting Ling Xiao. He turned into a stream of light and disappeared from that world. And in Ling Xiao's sea of consciousness, a mysterious scripture appeared. Heaven's birth technique. This should be the true cultivation technique left behind by the high priest. Ling Xiao guessed that the scenes he had just seen might have been imprinted on the bracelet, and they might have been from billions of years ago. However, just a cold snort was enough to shatter the myriad worlds. Ling Xiao also believed that if it weren't for the bracelet, his primordial spirit would have been annihilated by that cold snort. This high priest is too mysterious. I want to see what this heaven's birth technique is. It actually dares to call itself destiny. Chapter 730. Observing the Tao of the heavens, controlling the heavens, all living beings in the heavens, God of destiny. The beginning of the great fate divination technique began with these words. It carried an ethereal and mysterious aura. Buzz. Ling Xiao's body emitted a bright light. His primordial spirit was dazzling and there were strands of mysterious laws surging. When Ling Xiao was cultivating the great fate divination technique, the 160 ancient runes all floated up and revolved around Ling Xiao's body. They were like 160 small worlds that intertwined with each other. In his sea of consciousness, Ling Xiao's primordial spirit seemed to have pierced through a layer of void barrier and arrived at the beginning of the heavens and earth. He saw that above his head, there was a mysterious line that extended into the sky. He didn't know where it led to. Is this my destiny? Ling Xiao's eyes flickered and he was completely immersed in a godly state of cultivation. As Ling Xiao was cultivating the great fate divination technique in the Shura battle tower, the Shura sect was completely shaken. The Shura sect's sect master, Shuren Wang, and the two supreme elders had all arrived at the Shura battle tower. Sect master, why did the Shura battle tower seal itself for no reason? Could it be that Ling Xiao did something? One of the supreme elders had a trace of suspicion in his eyes. All the disciples of the Shura sect had come out except for Ling Xiao, who was still in the Shura battle tower. He couldn't help but suspect. Shuren Wang had tried before, but even he couldn't activate the Shura battle tower. It was as if the series of methods he had left behind had all failed. It shouldn't be. I suspect that it's the battle spirit in the Shura battle tower that's playing tricks. Shuren Wang's eyes were solemn as he spoke slowly. That battle spirit? Could it be that crazy old man who claimed to be the last patriarch of the Shura clan? The supreme elder's body trembled as if he had thought of something and quickly spoke. That's right. You should know that it was because my Azura sect obtained the inheritance of the Azura clan that we were able to establish the Azura sect. As for the Azura battle tower, it is said that it is the most precious treasure of the Azura clan. The previous sect masters were unable to completely control it, so I suspect that the battle spirit did something. Shuren Wang said slowly. Ling Xiao won't be in danger, right? I heard that he's Long Lai's nephew. Long Lai's title has already spread throughout the continent. If anything happens to him, I'm sure a sect won't be able to explain it. The other supreme elder said. Both of them were the Shuren king's trusted aides, and they both stood on the Shilua sect's side. Don't worry, he will definitely. I believe that he will definitely come out. Send a few disciples to guard the Azura battle tower. Don't worry. Shuren Wang, Wang said. Shura World Ling Tower. 10,000 years ago, the strongest person under the heavens, in a mere Azura battle tower, it was impossible for anything to happen to him. Finally, under the orders of the Shuren king, several Shura sect disciples stood guard outside the Shura battle tower. Shura sect. Shura sect of Shura of the Shura of Shura sect. Shura was something. While Ling Xiao was in seclusion, the entire continent of war was in an uproar. First, there was Long Lai's Dao title. Then, there was the Sky Demon Palace besieging the Mountain of Flames. 4 peerless experts were unable to do anything to Long Lai. Then, there was the Fire Phoenix Sovereign's Dao title. Suddenly, the Crystal Palace and the Mountain of Flames became famous, causing a stir in the entire Mountain of Flames. The news of Ling Xiao killing leopard demon venerables spread throughout the continent of war, causing an uproar among countless geniuses. After slaughtering an Exalt, Ling Xiao's current combat strength was probably at the top of the entire Ascension rankings. Ling Xiao's identity was also uncovered. He was Long Lai's nephew, a member of the Dragon Clan. Originally, Ling Xiao had killed countless genius experts in the Holy Ground, such as the second holy son of the Emperor Tomb Mountain, Yama of the Underworld Pavilion, and others. Originally, these martial arts holy lands wanted to find trouble with Ling Xiao, but when they heard that the person behind Ling Xiao was Long Lai, they suddenly lost their voices. The Holy Lands of War God Continent all had sovereigns, but that didn't mean they all had titled sovereigns. Titled sovereigns represented the pinnacle of humanity. There were less than 10 titled sovereigns in the entire War God Continent. Of course, there were some hidden sovereigns. With Long Lai backing him, ordinary Holy Lands would have to think twice if they wanted to deal with Ling Xiao. However, this news wasn't as explosive as the news of the Heaven's Choice Convention. The Heaven's Choice Convention was about to begin. The entire War God Continent was in an uproar. The Heaven's Choice Convention was a grand event for all the geniuses and youths of the War God Continent. It was held once every 1,000 years. Every time, peerless geniuses would appear and become sovereigns, becoming the focus of the entire War God Continent. This time, the Heaven's Choice Convention was still held in the Time Cave. Although there were still a few months, countless geniuses were already rubbing their fists and preparing to head to the Time Cave. Countless geniuses would compete in the Heaven's Choice Convention. Countless treasures, mystic realms, divine abilities, and inheritances would appear in the Time Cave. Countless people were rubbing their fists and preparing to test their swords in the Heaven's Choice Convention. Ashura sect. Half a year had passed, but Ling Xiao still hadn't come out of the Ashura battle tower. However, Grand Elder Luo Feng had returned from the Outer Realm. When he learned that Ling Xiao had been promoted to Grand Elder of the Ashura sect by the Shuren King, Luo Feng sneered. It seems that the sect master has become muddle-headed. A mere half-step sovereign ant is worthy of being my Ashura sect's Grand Elder? When he comes out of the Ashura battle tower, I'll be the first to kill him. Following Luo Feng were two other Grand Elders. They belonged to the same faction as Luo Feng. Each of them was brimming with killing intent and were filled with hostility towards Ling Xiao. Especially Luo Feng. His cultivation had already reached the peak of the 9th level of the sovereign realm. He was only a step away from becoming a titled sovereign. He wasn't any weaker than the Shuren King. Therefore, he didn't put the Shuren King in his eyes. In addition, Ling Xiao had previously destroyed one of his sovereign celestial bodies, which was a great humiliation to him. Li Jingming, Qing Jie, and the others were secretly worried for Ling Xiao. Grand Elder Luo Feng had returned. If he went crazy, even the Shuren King wouldn't be able to stop him. Inform the East Ocean Crystal Palace about this. I hope the Dragon King can make a trip here. Otherwise, Ling Xiao will be in danger. Li Jingming secretly instructed Qing Jie Dao. His eyes were filled with worry. Okay, I'll go now. Chapter 731. Undercurrents were surging within the Ashura sect. Although many were worried for Ling Xiao, there were also those who rejoiced in his misfortune and wanted to see him make a fool of himself. So what if he was a peerless genius? Only death awaited those who dared to offend Grand Elder Luo Feng. Geniuses who hadn't matured were nothing. Within the Ashura battle tower, Ling Xiao had been sitting cross-legged on the altar for more than half a year. His body was enveloped in a mysterious aura of destiny, as if he would break through the void and leave this world at any moment. The line above his head also seemed to grow fainter. The 160 ancient runes grew increasingly mysterious, faintly showing signs of fusing into Ling Xiao's body. On this day, Ling Xiao opened his eyes. Buzz. Two divine lights, one black and one white, pierced through the void, causing the dark space to tremble, exuding a dignified and mysterious aura. So this is the great fate divination art. Ling Xiao sighed, his eyes calm and indifferent, with a hint of joy. His cultivation hadn't increased, remaining at half-step supremacy. He hadn't even passed the Great Earth Tribulation. In the past half a year, Ling Xiao had only comprehended the surface of the great fate divination art. He was certain that the high priest of the Ashura clan was a godly realm master, and he was definitely not an ordinary godly realm master. The great fate divination art borrowed the power of the ancient runes to comprehend the power of destiny, divining the fate of oneself and others. Martial artists went against the heavens, and destiny was extremely illusory and difficult to grasp. However, the great fate divination art could directly communicate with the river of destiny, allowing one to see the trajectory of destiny shrouded in layers of fog. The great fate divination art could also be used as an attack, directly attacking the origin of destiny, which was the thread of destiny Ling Xiao saw. If the thread of destiny was broken, it meant that one would be completely obliterated. Their body, mind, and brand would all cease to exist, as if they were completely erased from this world. But now, Ling Xiao could only use the thread of destiny to obliterate those weaker than him, so it wasn't very useful. In the past half a year, Ling Xiao had used the great fate divination art to deduce his fate. What Ling Xiao saw was a thick expanse of blood. This time's heavenly chosen convention was a great omen. It could be said that there was no chance of survival. But at the same time, Ling Xiao also saw that this Heaven's Choice convention was a place for him to soar. He would obtain supreme fortunes and even catch a glimmer of hope. And the chance of survival was these 160 ancient rune characters. What are these ancient runes? Ling Xiao's eyes were filled with doubt. Even though he had cultivated the great fate divination technique, he still did not recognize the ancient characters. Ling Xiao could only vaguely sense that these ancient runes might be related to the River of Destiny that he had seen, but there were also some differences. Is the Heavenly Choice Convention a death sentence? Who is it that wants to deal with me? Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. He had many enemies on the War God continent. Star Palace, Nantian Family, Emperor Tomb Mountain, Underworld Pavilion, Precious Treasure Pavilion, and even Sky Demon Palace and War God Temple. But Ling Xiao's current battle strength was extremely strong and he had many treasures. He was confident that as long as it was not a titled sovereign, even if he could not win, he could escape. There were very few titled sovereigns in these martial Dao holy lands. It was unlikely that they would send a titled sovereign to deal with him. Ling Xiao now had two biggest suspicions. The first was the War God Temple. The War God Temple was too mysterious. Previously, the Impermanence General wanted to capture Luoluo but was killed by the Time General in the end. The War God Temple was so mysterious that Ling Xiao did not know much about them, whether in his previous life or this life. He could not help but feel apprehensive. The second was the Time Cave. Since the Heavenly Choice Convention was held in the Time Cave, and the Time Cave was one of the 8 great forbidden lands, it contained an incomparably mysterious power of time. Perhaps there were fatal dangers in the Time Cave. A situation where there was no chance of survival was a sign of great misfortune. But Ling Xiao saw a glimmer of hope. Although it was very weak, it did exist. To go or not to go? So what if it's a death sentence? This year's Heaven's Choice Convention is too important to me. I must become a sovereign, break through the land of origin, and find the Jin Sei. Ling Xiao's eyes revealed a trace of determination as he spoke slowly. Young friend Ling, you're awake? Congratulations on becoming the High Priest of the Azura clan. Yi Yu appeared in front of Ling Xiao, his eyes filled with surprise. However, he looked older and the light around him had become extremely dim, like a candle flame in the wind that could be extinguished at any time. Senior Yi, what exactly is the Great Fate Divination Technique? Ling Xiao looked at Yi Yu and asked. I don't know either. Yi Yu laughed bitterly. Although I'm the clan leader of the Azura clan, I have no way to cultivate the Great Fate Divination Technique. Perhaps only the dead High Priest can answer this question. You've obtained the Great Fate Divination Technique and the Great Fate Divination Black Bone Bracelet. In the future, you'll be the High Priest of the Azura clan. The Azura clan Yi Feng and Yi Meng will be in your hands. Although Yi Yu's appearance was very ugly, his gaze was very gentle, and his face was filled with a relieved smile. Senior, are you going to leave? Ling Xiao sighed softly. Towards this clan leader who had guarded the bones of the Azura clan for 1,000,000 years, he still had a lot of respect in his heart. It's only an obsession. It's time to return to the embrace of the Azura ancestor god. Yi Yu smiled. Ling Xiao, you have the Great Fate Divination Black Bone Bracelet so you can control the Azura Battle Tower. Once Yi Feng and Yi Meng finish receiving the inheritance, I'll leave them to you. Although I have less than 10% of the Azura origin left, if the two of them can completely refine it, becoming a sovereign won't be a problem. In the future, they'll have to rely on themselves. Yi Yu's voice was very soft. He looked at the bones around him with a trace of reluctance. Senior, don't worry. Yi Feng and Yi Meng are also my family. I'll take good care of them. Ling Xiao said solemnly. Good, very good. Young friend Ling, since you've obtained the inheritance of the Scarlet Dragon War God, your path ahead is destined to be very difficult. I have something you must remember. Yi looked at Ling Xiao and said, Senior, please tell me. Be careful of the War God Temple. You must be careful of the War God Temple. Ling Xiao's eyes trembled. Yi Yu smiled bitterly and shook his head. Although the War God Temple was born from the will of the Scarlet Dragon War God, it has long changed. It has become a malignant tumor of the War God world, a place where ambitious people gather. In order to deal with the future calamity, you must be careful of the War God Temple. Thank you, Senior. I'll remember. Chapter 732. It seemed that the War God Temple was not simple. He had to be careful in this Heaven's Choice Convention. At the same time, Ling Xiao began to have doubts about the War God Temple's purpose in holding the Heaven's Choice Convention. If the War God Temple really had some unspeakable secret, then the Heaven's Choice Convention would be very terrifying. Well, little friend Ling, this old man has to go. I believe that you will definitely be able to eliminate this great calamity and reach the pinnacle of the God realm. We may never meet again. Yi Yu smiled gently, with a trace of expectation in his eyes. His body shone brightly and slowly turned into a rain of light, disappearing in front of Ling Xiao. Never meet again. Ling Xiao sighed, with a trace of melancholy in his eyes. He could feel that in the depths of the space, the siblings Yi Feng and Yi Meng were cultivating. Their aura was powerful and terrifying, containing a trace of darkness origin energy. Their cultivation was soaring. They seemed to be undergoing some kind of transformation, transforming into the true Azura clan. This process might take a very long time. A light flashed in Ling Xiao's hand, and the dark Dian bone bracelet appeared in his palm. This dark Dian bone bracelet was extremely mysterious. When combined with the Heaven's Fate art, it could erupt with terrifying power. Moreover, with the dark Dian bone bracelet, he found that he could also mobilize a trace of the Azura Battle Tower's power. This Azura Battle Tower is really extraordinary. It actually has 8 complete small worlds. Ling Xiao's eyes trembled. The so-called training space of the Azura Battle Tower was only a small part of it. The majority of the space was sealed. The entire Azura Battle Tower was composed of 8 complete small worlds. It was an incomparably powerful divine tool. The Azura Battle Tower was definitely a supreme treasure. However, Ling Xiao also knew that only after Yi Feng and Yi Meng completed their transformation would they be able to control the Azura Battle Tower. It's time to go out. The Heavenly God Assembly should be starting soon. Ling Xiao sighed softly as a sharp glint appeared in his eyes. He had spent more than half a year comprehending the Heaven's Fate art. Counting the time, there were less than 2 months left before the Heaven's Choice Convention began. Ling Xiao's cultivation seemed to have advanced by leaps and bounds, and his talent was unparalleled. However, he had risked his life for every step he took. Every increase in his cultivation was due to great opportunities and good fortune. Currently, Ling Xiao was already a half-step supreme being, but he estimated that if he cultivated step by step, it would take him at least 100 years to pass the tribulation of the 4 symbols, the supreme being tribulation, and becoming a supreme being. He couldn't wait, and neither could Jin Sei. Ling Xiao had already decided that in this Heaven's Choice Convention, he must pass the supreme tribulation and ascend to the supreme realm. Yi Feng and Yi Meng probably wouldn't be able to participate in this year's chosen meeting. Ling Xiao also didn't plan on bringing them along. Receiving Yi Yu's inheritance was the most important thing. Ling Xiao was also looking forward to seeing what would happen to Yi Feng and Yi Meng after they came out of seclusion. The Azura Battle Tower was sealed by Senior Night Rain? I'm afraid the Shura sect is going to be alarmed. Ling Xiao was just about to leave when he sensed that the Azura Battle Tower had been sealed. He couldn't help but bitterly smile. He had a headache about how to explain this to the Shuren King. However, he couldn't tell the Shuren King the truth, so he had to find an excuse. Buzz. The monstrous black bone bracelet shone with a resplendent light. Ling Xiao used this treasure to control the Azura Battle Tower and sealed off most of the space, leaving only the original trial space. Only then did he release the seal on the Azura Battle Tower and walk out. Ling Xiao. It's great, Elder Ling Xiao. He came out of seclusion? The seal on the Azura Battle Tower has also been removed. Quickly report to the sect leader. The disciples guarding the Azura Battle Tower saw Ling Xiao come out and immediately trembled. Their eyes were filled with excitement. Rumble. At this moment, a terrifying aura rose from afar. A black palm print swept across the sky and slammed down on Ling Xiao with monstrous momentum. Ling Xiao, you traitor. Tell me honestly, are you the one behind the Azura Battle Tower? An old and cold voice sounded in the sky above the Shura sect. Luo Feng. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed as he sensed the terrifying aura. That person had indeed reached the peak of the 9th level of the Venerable stage. Ling Xiao couldn't take this blow at all. The gap between them was too big. Rumble. Ling Zhao's body shone with dazzling divine light. Flames rose and broke through the shackles of the sovereign realm's divine aura. He used the shifting secret technique to dodge the blow. Luo Feng, I am now the great elder of the Shura sect. You have violated the sect rules by attacking me. Are you courting death? Ling Zhao's eyes flashed with killing intent as he stared at Luo Feng in the distance. In the distance, Luo Feng was wearing a black robe. He was tall and had white hair. He looked majestic. Behind him were two powerful great elders. Luo Feng's eyes were gloomy and filled with cold killing intent. He looked coldly at Ling Zhao and said, "The great elder of the Shura sect? Are you worthy? Without the approval of the elders meeting, what kind of great elder are you? Tell me honestly, why is the Azura battle tower sealed? Are you the one behind all this? If you don't give me a clear explanation today, I will kill you." Pa, what a joke. If the sect leader of the Shura sect can't appoint the great elder, do you think he will ask you? You are just a great elder. What right do you have to question the sect leader's decision? Luo Feng, you have committed an unforgivable crime. Moreover, the Shura battle tower is a treasure controlled by the sect leader. If you can't seal it, do you think I can? Don't slander me. Even if there is something wrong, I will report it to the sect leader. Who do you think you are to question me? Ling Zhao sneered and stared at Luo Feng. His eyes were filled with killing intent. What a sharp-tongued little bastard. I think you won't give up until you see the coffin. Since that's the case, don't blame me for being rude. Luo Feng's eyes turned cold and revealed a trace of cold killing intent. The terrifying sovereign realm's divine aura spread out from his body. Rumble. Heaven and earth trembled. The entire Shura sect seemed to be enveloped by a terrifying killing intent. All the Shura sect's disciples turned pale. On the path of the sovereign realm, every step was a different level. Luo Feng was already a peerless powerhouse at the 9th level of the sovereign realm. He was much stronger than his sovereign celestial body. Even Ling Zhao's eyes turned serious in the face of this sovereign realm's divine aura. I'd like to see how rude you are. He is my nephew. What right do you have to criticize him? A cold and indifferent voice exploded in the void, carrying with it a monstrous domineering aura. Long lie. Luo Feng's body trembled and his eyes turned ugly. Chapter 733. Rumble. Above the sky, a dragon's aura filled the air. A middle-aged man wearing a 5-clawed golden dragon robe and a flat crown appeared. He was exuding a domineering aura. His black hair fluttered in the wind, his face was handsome, and his eyes were shining brightly. It was the master of the East Ocean Crystal Palace, Dragon King Long Lai. You bastard! You think you can scold my nephew? Long Lai's eyes flashed as a terrifying aura pressed down on Luo Feng. He sent a slap towards Luo Feng with a cold look in his eyes. Clearly, Luo Feng calling him a little bastard just now made Long Lai truly enraged. Long Lai, how dare you? Luo Feng's face changed. He did not expect Long Lai to attack him. Instantly, the sovereign's aura filled his body as he tried to dodge the slap. Rumble. A terrifying dragon's roar shook the sky as an invincible power of law descended. Luo Feng could not break free and could only watch as the slap landed on his face. Slap. A crisp sound rang through the Shura sect. Luo Feng's face swelled up after being slapped by Long Lai. He spat out a mouthful of blood and fell to the ground. All the Shura sect disciples were dumbfounded. That was Grand Elder Luo Feng, a Xirenwang who was second only to the sect leader in the Shura sect. Yet he was slapped in front of everyone. This was a great humiliation. However, under Long Lai's terrifying pressure, all of the Xiolua sect's disciples trembled in fear. Their eyes were filled with terror. He was a titled sovereign, one of the most powerful people in the War God continent. He stood at the peak of the human Tao and was extremely terrifying. Although Luo Feng was a rank 9 sovereign, he was no match for a titled sovereign. Long Lai, how dare you humiliate me? I will never forgive you. Luo Feng soared into the sky. His eyes were filled with resentment as he glared at Long Lai. He felt extremely humiliated. He was the Grand Elder of the Shura sect. How could he show his face in the Shura sect after being slapped? Do you want to die? Get over here, I'll fulfill your wish. Long Lai sneered. His face was filled with indifference and his voice exuded an incomparably domineering aura. The Crystal Palace had a good relationship with the Azura sect. However, before Long Lai had attained his title, he had already disliked Luo Feng. The two of them had often been at loggerheads with each other. However, since their cultivations were similar, neither of them could do anything to the other. Now, Long Lai had become a titled battle pet warrior, and Ling Xiao had taught him the secret skills of the ancestral dragon. His combat strength had improved by leaps and bounds. Luo Feng's expression was extremely ugly. He wanted to say a few harsh words, but when he saw Long Lai's cold gaze, he unconsciously swallowed his words. With Long Lai's domineering and arrogant personality, he might really kill him directly. Brother Long, you've graced us with your presence. I hope Brother Long can forgive me. At this moment, a hearty laugh was heard. The Shuren King flew over with a smile on his face. The Sky Devil Palace was powerful. Previously, the Azura sect and the Crystal Palace had formed an alliance to prevent the Sky Devil Palace's scheme from succeeding. Therefore, the Shuren King and Long Lai's relationship was very harmonious. Brother Shuren, some people in your sect don't know the rules and offend their superiors. They don't even respect you, the sect leader. I think it's time to teach them a lesson. Long Lai smiled faintly. Luo Feng's gaze turned cold and his expression turned even uglier. Even a fool would know that the person Long Lai was talking about was him. Brother Long, please forgive me. Ling Xiao is already the supreme elder of the Azura sect. No one is allowed to attack a fellow sect member. I'll definitely investigate what happened today and give Brother Long an explanation. The Shuren King said seriously. All right, I'll wait for Brother Shuren's decision. My, Long Lai's, nephew is not someone that any Tom, Dick or Harry can casually scold. Long Lai sneered. The Shuren King looked coldly at Luo Feng and said, Elder Luo, what's going on? Explain. Ling Xiao has already been appointed as the supreme elder of the Azura sect. Why did you attack him? Luo Feng's expression turned ugly, but he still snorted and said, Sect leader, I think you've gone senile. What did Ling Xiao do to become the supreme elder of the Azura sect? The supreme elder of the Azura sect must be a disciple of the Azura sect and must be a sovereign. He's just a half-step sovereign. He's not even a disciple of the Azura sect. He doesn't have the qualifications. Moreover, the Azura Battle Tower is the most precious treasure of the Azura sect. However, it has been sealed for more than half a year because of him. I suspect that he's the culprit. That's why I wanted to capture him and interrogate him for the truth. Elder Luo, you're really bold. The Shuren King's eyes flashed and he said coldly, Who said that you can't become the supreme elder of the Azura sect if you're not a disciple of the Azura sect? The sky-devouring supreme from 10,000 years ago was the supreme elder of the Azura sect. Why don't you go and question him? Moreover, although Ling Xiao is only a half-step supreme being, he has the combat strength of a supreme being. Now, he already has 2 supreme being experts. With such peerless talent, once he becomes a supreme being, I'm afraid even you won't be his opponent. If he isn't qualified, who is? They can't be compared at all. The sky-devouring supreme was the most powerful person in the world 10,000 years ago. Ling Xiao is far from it. Luo Feng snorted coldly. I'm the sect leader. I have the authority to appoint the supreme elder. Elder Luo, what do you say? The Shuren King sneered. Luo Feng said coldly, Even if he's qualified to become the supreme elder, what about the Azura Battle Tower? It must be his doing. Why can't I capture him and interrogate him? Capture him and interrogate him? Luo Feng, what qualifications do you have? Ling Xiao is also a supreme elder like you. You bullied your fellow disciples. This is simply unforgivable. The Shuren King's eyes revealed a trace of disdain. Reporting to the sect leader, I can only tell you the reason why the Shura Battle Tower has been sealed. As for Elder Luo, he's not qualified and he's not qualified. Ling Xiao smiled faintly. Luo Feng's face became uglier and uglier. His eyes were filled with cold, killing intent. At this moment, the two supreme elders who originally supported him also lowered their heads. With Long Lai, a titled sovereign, and the fact that the Shuren king wanted to use this opportunity to make things difficult for Luo Feng, they naturally didn't want to get involved in this muddy water. Shuren king, if you act arbitrarily, the Azura sect will be destroyed by your hands sooner or later. Since you're willing to disregard the rules of the Azura sect for an outsider, then I, Luo Feng, will completely withdraw from the Azura sect from today onwards. Luo Feng sneered and revealed a trace of cold sharpness in his eyes. Chapter 734. Supreme Elder Luo Feng wanted to leave the Shura sect? This was a huge blow to the Shura sect. The Shuren king did not seem surprised at all. He sneered and said, "What a joke. Do you think the Shura sect is a place where you can come and go as you please? If you want to leave, I'll let you go if you leave your cultivation behind." Many of the disciples trembled as their eyes revealed a trace of shock. The Shuren king wanted to abolish Supreme Elder Luo Feng's cultivation? Luo Feng was not willing to give up. Even a titled supreme being could not abolish his cultivation. Luo Feng might die, but he would not give up his cultivation. In the God of War continent, without cultivation, one's fate would be worse than death. Ha! Shuren king. You're so childish. Do you think you can take back my cultivation? I advise you not to fight to the death. Otherwise, the Shura sect will be bathed in blood today. Luo Feng's eyes were cold and filled with killing intent. His voice was filled with threat as a terrifying supreme being's aura spread out from his body. Like the Shuren king, he was also a LV9 Supreme Realm expert. If he went berserk and started a massacre in the Shura sect, a LV9 Supreme Realm expert would be able to wipe out the entire Shura sect in no time. Luo Feng, you're really ambitious. The Shura sect raised you, taught you, and provided you with countless resources for your cultivation. It allowed you to grow to where you are today, but you betrayed the Shura sect. Supreme Elders, are you going to betray the Shura sect with Luo Feng? The Shuren king sighed. His eyes were cold as he looked at the two supreme elders behind Luo Feng. The two supreme elders shivered and immediately left Luo Feng. They flew towards the Shuren monarch and said, "Supreme Sect Master, we were born as members of the Azura sect and we will die as ghosts of the Azura sect. We will never betray the sect in this life. Luo Feng, give yourself up. The Dragon King is here. Don't try to resist." One of the supreme elders behind the Shuren king said coldly, "Pa, I understand now. I'm afraid today is a trap you set for me, right? For me, you even invited Long Lai. Shuren king, it seems like you are determined to kill me." Luo Feng laughed maniacally. The aura around him was extremely violent. His crazy eyes scanned the surroundings, filled with cold, killing intent. However, a terrifying aura intertwined on Long Lai's body. It had already locked onto Luo Feng and would launch a thunderous attack at any time. "Luo Feng, it's not that I want to kill you. You brought this upon yourself. Do you think I don't know that you've joined the War God Temple?" Shuren Wang's eyes flashed with killing intent as he stared coldly at Luo Feng. "What?" Luo Feng trembled as he stared at the Shuren king in disbelief. "What? Don't think I'm a fool. Shura Divine General, are you still not going to show yourself?" Luo Feng stared at Shura Divine General as a terrifying aura emanated from him. Rumble. The 49 mountains of the Shilwa sect began to tremble violently. Strands of black divine light intertwined like divine chains, instantly forming a terrifying formation that enveloped Luo Feng in the center. This was the Great Shura Divine Array, the Shura sect's divine array. Unexpectedly, the Shuren king had already prepared for this. At this moment, he activated the power of the array and enveloped Luo Feng. "Shura Divine General?" Ling Zhao's eyes flashed. The supreme elder of the Shura sect, Luo Feng, was actually one of the 18 divine generals of the War God Temple? This was too hard to believe. However, since the Shuren king dared to say it, it meant that he had enough evidence. The entire Shura sect was shaken as well. Everyone's eyes were filled with disbelief. Their supreme elder, Luo Feng, had betrayed the Shura sect and joined the War God Temple? With the Shuren King as the leader, the four supreme elders of the Shura sect stood in four different directions. Their bodies emitted terrifying killing intent as they locked onto Luo Feng, who was in the middle. On the other hand, Long Lai's eyes were incomparably sharp. His body was surrounded by a vast amount of law power as if he was about to launch a thunderous attack at any moment. When the Shuren King shouted out the words Shura Divine General, Luo Feng's eyes were shocked and instantly became incomparably calm. His eyes were filled with black divine light as he said indifferently, "How did you know? If you don't want others to know, don't do it in the first place." The Shuren King sneered and said, "All these years, you've been eliminating dissidents in my Shura sect and doing whatever you want. Many of my Shura sect's genius disciples have gone missing and were secretly sent to the War God Temple by you, right? What I don't understand is that the Shura sect has treated you well. They nurtured you, gave you resources, and allowed you to become the supreme elder of the Shura sect. Why did you betray the sect and join the War God Temple?" Although the Shuren King was sneering, there was a trace of pain in his eyes. Although he already knew this result, when he saw Luo Feng at this moment, he still felt very sad. The supreme elder of the Shura sect had actually silently become the Shura Divine General of the War God Temple. This made Ling Zhao's heart turn cold. If that was really the case, then other than the Shura sect, were there any other martial sacred grounds that had divine generals planted by the War God Temple? "Shuren King, it seems like you've been investigating me all these years. However, you'll never understand the greatness of the War God. The War God is omnipotent and dominates everything. The War God is the prophet of this world. Only by following the War God can one break through the limits of life and death and become a supreme God. You ignorant people will never understand." Luo Feng's eyes were suddenly filled with fanaticism and worship. The Shuren King and Long Lai looked at each other and their gazes turned serious. The War God should be the mysterious War God of the War God Temple. To be able to make Luo Feng, who was at the 9th level sovereign realm, worship him so fanatically, the Shuren King and Long Lai were incomparably fearful of the mysterious War God. "Furthermore, do you really think that you can kill me? Believe in the War God and you'll have eternal life. None of you can kill me." Luo Feng's eyes revealed a trace of strangeness as a mysterious aura spread out from his body. Rumble. The heavens and earth trembled as the mysterious aura seemed to have pierced through the great Azura divine formation, breaking through the void and entering into an unknown space. "Not good, kill him." The Shuren King's expression changed. Together with the four supreme elders, he activated the great Azura battle formation. The void trembled violently. Streaks of black Azura divine light gathered and exuded a strong destructive force. It suppressed Luo Feng. Boom. Chapter 735. Rumble. The sky trembled as the six supreme beings activated the great Azura divine formation and charged towards Luo Feng. Even though Luo Feng was a rank 9 supreme being, it was difficult for him to defend against such a formation. The terrifying divine light engulfed Luo Feng. However, Luo Feng's eyes were filled with a strange look. There was no trace of fear in them. At this moment, the void shattered and the sky trembled. A huge beast claw came across the sky, emitting a terrifying aura. It instantly broke the great Azura divine formation and blocked Luo Feng's path. The beast claw was tens of thousands of feet long and terrifying. Its scales were dazzling and sharp. One look at it would make one's scalp tingle. The Shuren King and Long Lai's attacks were easily blocked by the beast claw. "Who are you?" The Shuren King's face changed as he stared at the terrifying figure in the sky. He could feel that the aura from the figure was comparable to Long Lai's. He was also a titled supreme being. However, the ferocious energy was like an ancient beast that was even more terrifying than Long Lai's. "Greetings, disciplined King Xianwu. My incompetence has been exposed." Luo Feng's face was filled with respect as he bowed towards the figure in the sky. "Trash." An old and indifferent voice rang out. Luo Feng's body trembled as fear appeared in his eyes. However, he maintained his bow and did not dare to move. Are you one of the 4 discipline kings of the War God Hall, Discipline King Xianwu? Who would have thought that the War God Hall, which claimed to have inherited the will of the Scarlet Dragon God of War, would interfere with the Shilua sect? Long Lai looked at the figure in the sky and said coldly. The figure was shrouded in endless black light. His figure could not be seen clearly, but it was like a vast ocean that swept across the 9 heavens. It was as if it would drown the Shilua sect at any time. The Shuren King and the many supreme elders of the Shilua sect looked extremely solemn. They had not expected Luo Feng, the Azura Divine General of the War God Temple, to have a Law Emperor arrive so quickly. The War God Temple's 4 great guardian kings were all titled supreme martial artists. Then what cultivation level would the left and right holy masters, as well as the supreme war god be? Thinking of this, the Shuren King's heart was covered with a layer of shadow. Long Lai? You are indeed worthy of being the strongest genius of the Dragon Clan since ancient times. Let Luo Feng go, and I can pretend that nothing happened today, said Discipline King Xianwu indifferently. His voice was extremely old and it sounded like thunder exploding in the void. It was extremely terrifying. Pretend that nothing happened today? Your War God Temple is indeed arrogant. If you want to take Luo Feng away, then defeat this king first. Long Lai's eyes revealed a cold glint as he sneered. The mysterious Xianwu Shakyamuni in front of him was very arrogant. It was a kind of indifference that came from his bones. He saw the common people in the world as ants. It was as if Long Lai could only be slightly valued by him. As for the Shuren King and the others, it was as if he didn't even put them in his eyes. Long Lai, don't think that you can be arrogant in front of me just because you are a titled supreme martial artist. You must know that this world is vast and mysterious. Titled supreme martial artists are just big ants. If you want to die, I don't mind fulfilling your wish. Discipline King Xianwu looked at Long Lai indifferently. Kill me? Then I would like to give it a try. Long Lai's eyes were filled with killing intent, revealing a strong and unparalleled fighting spirit. He could feel that the Discipline King Xianwu before him was very strong. Perhaps he was stronger than him, but not to the extent that he could not fight back. Since you want to die, then go to hell. Discipline King Xianwu said indifferently and instantly attacked. Boom! A terrifying fist radiance flew towards Long Lai. It was silent, but the surrounding void started to shatter rapidly. The void turbulence surged, as if eternal darkness had descended, shrouding the entire Azura sect. Kill! The sky trembled. Long Lai's eyes were filled with fighting spirit. He threw a punch across the sky, and a dazzling golden light lit up the sky. It was like a soaring divine light, rushing towards Discipline King Xianwu. Boom! The 2 fists collided, and the earth shook. The 49 mountains of Azura sect trembled violently, and a terrifying shockwave swept out in all directions, causing a few mountains in the distance to crumble. Long Lai's body shook, and he was sent flying by Discipline King Xianwu's punch. Again! Long Lai's eyes were filled with killing intent, and he continued to attack Discipline King Xianwu. The surrounding power of law was extremely violent. Moreover, he rushed towards the 9 heavens, wanting to leave the War God continent and head to the extraterritorial world to fight with Discipline King Xianwu. Discipline King Xianwu did not seem to want to fight here. He fought fiercely with Long Lai, and headed towards the extraterritorial world at the same time. After Discipline King Xianwu and Long Lai left, the people of Azura sect heaved a sigh of relief. Discipline King Xianwu gave them too much pressure. That terrifying aura was like the end of the world, and everyone felt suffocated. Luo Feng, Discipline King Xianwu has left. Prepare to die. The Shuren King's eyes flashed with killing intent, and together with the 4 elders of Azura sect, they surrounded Luo Feng. Ha! Shuren King, if Long Lai was here, you might be able to keep me here. But Long Lai has left. Do you think you can keep me here? Luo Feng's eyes were filled with cold laughter. Rumble. At this moment, a bright light shone behind Luo Feng. White light surged, and a figure in white clothes walked out of the void, exuding a terrifying aura. Ling Zhao's eyes flashed. This white figure was the divine general Time that he had seen before. The impermanence divine general had died at his hands. Heaven and earth trembled as the white-robed figure slashed out with his sword. Large pieces of the void were shattered, and a crack appeared on the originally incomparably powerful Great Azura divine formation. Swoosh! Luo Feng's eyes flashed, and he rushed out of the Great Azura divine array. Ha! Shuren King, you can't kill me. When I become a titled martial artist, it will be your death. At that time, the entire Azura sect will die. Luo Feng's eyes flashed with cold killing intent, and he turned into a ray of light with the divine general Time and disappeared into the void. Ling Zhao's eyes flashed. He saw the divine general Time looking at him before he left, and there was a strange look in his eyes. Damn it! The Shuren King's eyes were cold, and the 4 supreme elders behind him had ugly looks on their faces. If Luo Feng was trapped by the Great Azura divine array, they might be able to keep him here. Chapter 736. Luo Feng was a rank 9 Supreme Realm martial artist. The Shuren King and the 4 Supreme Elders were unable to keep him here. Forget it. Let him go. Long Lai is not here and we have no way of keeping him here. The Shuren King sighed as a desolate look appeared in his eyes. His original plan was to wait for Luo Feng to return from outer space and use Long Lai's power to kill Luo Feng. However, he did not expect Luo Feng to be able to summon Discipline King Xuanwu in an instant. Furthermore, it seemed like Discipline King Xuanwu was even more powerful than Long Lai. Sect Master, Luo Feng might not be able to leave so easily. I wonder if the sect has Luo Feng's life spirit tablet? Ling Zhao's eyes flashed as he smiled faintly. Life spirit tablet? He is the supreme elder of Shilua sect. Naturally, he has a life spirit tablet. Are you trying to use the primordial spirit power on the life spirit tablet to find Luo Feng's whereabouts? However, even if we find Luo Feng's whereabouts, we will not be able to keep him here with our strength. Furthermore, there is a mysterious man in white beside him. I'm afraid that he is also a powerful divine general. The Shuren King's eyes revealed a trace of doubt as he bitterly laughed. No. Sect Master, take out Luo Feng's life spirit tablet. We will know in a while. Ling Xiao smiled faintly and did not explain further. Although the Shuren King was confused, he still followed Ling Zhao's request and took out Luo Feng's life spirit tablet. In the boundless empty space turbulence. Time God General, where are we going? I think we should look for Discipline King Xuanwu and destroy the Shilua sect. Otherwise, if the Shilua sect reveals my relationship with the Combat God Hall, it will affect our plans. Luo Feng looked at the Time God General beside him with a vicious look in his eyes. The Combat God wants to see you. Over there. The Time God General said faintly as he pointed forward. What? The Combat God wants to see me? Luo Feng's body shook as his eyes were filled with joy. He immediately looked in the direction that the Time God General was pointing at. There was a dazzling light as if a mysterious figure was forming. Luo Feng did not notice that behind him, a white sword radiance that flowed with the mysterious power of time instantly pierced towards him. The sword beam was not obstructed in the slightest. It pierced into Luo Feng's body in an instant. A terrifying power exploded, bringing with it a terrifying power that could obliterate everything. What? Time General, what are you trying to do? Luo Feng's expression changed drastically. By the time he felt the fatal danger, it was already too late. The sword light that contained the power of time had already pierced into his body and was rapidly destroying his vitality. Naturally, I'm going to kill you. A dazzling light exploded in front of him like a rain of light. Luo Feng's eyes were filled with disbelief and resentment, but he didn't have the slightest strength to resist and disappeared in an instant. It was as if it had never appeared in this world. It had been completely obliterated. The second one, I hope it's not too late. The Divine General of Time sighed gently. A sliver of vicissitude appeared in his eyes, and his presence became rather weak. He had killed Luo Feng with a single sword strike. Although it seemed easy and unexpected, he knew the price he had to pay for it. That was the price of burning one's lifespan. Buzz. The divine general of time's figure instantly disappeared in the turbulence of the void as if he had never appeared. In the Azura sect, Luo Feng's life jade shattered instantly. What? Luo Feng is dead? The Shuren King's eyes widened in disbelief. Ling Xiao had asked him to take out Luo Feng's life jade. He thought that Ling Xiao wanted to use a secret technique to track Luo Feng's whereabouts. He didn't expect Luo Feng's life jade to shatter after a short while. It's just as I thought. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed with a glint. Last time, the Time General had killed the Impermanence Divine General. This time, the Time General had killed the Azura Divine General. Ling Xiao's guess had been confirmed. The mysterious Time General seemed to have a deep grudge against the War God Hall. He had specifically targeted the War God Hall's divine generals. However, Ling Xiao was slightly worried. The War God Hall was unfathomable. Even the Xuanwu Discipline King was a titled sovereign. Wasn't the Time General afraid of being discovered by the War God Hall? Ling Xiao, what's going on? The Shuren King was shocked as he asked Ling Xiao in confusion. He could faintly feel that Ling Xiao had already known that Luo Feng would die. It must be the Time General. However, this matter must be kept a secret. Ling Xiao smiled faintly. He didn't hide anything from the Shuren King and told him about how the Time General had killed the Impermanence Divine General. The Time General is so mysterious? Why did he do this? The Shuren King was shocked and his heart was filled with doubts. At the same time, he was extremely shocked. The Time General's cultivation was definitely not a titled sovereign. However, he was able to kill Luo Feng in an instant. This showed how terrifying his combat strength was. Even Long Lai would find it difficult to kill Luo Feng in such a short period of time. Ling Xiao thought about the sword that the Time General had used to kill the Impermanence Divine General. It contained a vast and mysterious power of time. The terrifying forbidden power seemed to be able to erase everything. In the face of time, even a titled sovereign would find it difficult to resist, let alone a sovereign. The battle between Long Lai and the Xuanwu Discipline King lasted for 3 days and 3 nights. In the end, Ling Xiao saw Long Lai and Fire Phoenix Prime returning from the Outer Realm. It turned out that Fire Phoenix Prime had also come and joined forces with Long Lai to fight the Xuanwu Discipline King. In the end, they were evenly matched and retreated. The Xuanwu Discipline King is indeed terrifying. However, when I condense the true dragon body, I won't be any weaker than him. Long Lai sighed softly as a sharp glint appeared in his eyes. Ling Xiao then told Long Lai about the Divine General of Time and Luo Feng. Long Lai and Fire Phoenix Sovereign were also very shocked. Such a mysterious Time General had appeared in the War God Temple and was constantly killing people from the War God Temple. This made them extremely puzzled. However, even after thinking about the countless sovereigns in the War God continent, they still couldn't figure out who the Time General was. Ling Xiao, the War God Temple's actions are getting bigger and bigger. I'm afraid that they are planning some scheme. How about you not participate in this year's Heaven's Choice meeting? Long Lai glanced at Ling Xiao worriedly and said. Chapter 737. That's right. Ling Xiao, come back with us. Long Lai and I will teach you together. We guarantee that you will become a supreme being within 100 years. Fire Phoenix Supremacy said softly. 2 titled supremacies teaching at the same time was something that countless peerless geniuses dreamed of. Perhaps an ordinary person would immediately agree. But who was Ling Xiao? He was the strongest person in the world 10,000 years ago. He didn't need anyone to teach him. Moreover, 100 years was too long for Ling Xiao. I can't wait for 100 years. I must participate in the Sky Choice meeting this time. I will become a supreme being in the meeting. No matter what the War God Temple is plotting, what I need to do now is to raise my cultivation. In the face of absolute strength, all schemes are just fleeting clouds. Ling Xiao sighed softly as a trace of determination appeared in his eyes. He had awakened the memories of his previous life at the age of 15. It had only been 5 years, but he had already grown to such a terrifying level. If others were to know about this, they would probably be scared to death. However, Ling Xiao knew that he had to quickly recover the cultivation of his previous life, or even surpass it. Jin Se had been waiting for him for 10,000 years in the lonely Origin Sea. He had to find her as soon as possible. Seeing Ling Xiao's determination, Long Lai nodded and said, "All right then. Only experts below the Supreme Being realm can participate in the Sky Choice meeting. With your cultivation, I naturally have nothing to worry about. However, you must be careful. You must be wary of the War God Temple." "All right." Ling Xiao smiled faintly and nodded. Originally, the Crystal Palace, Shura Sect, and Blazing Mountain were prepared to send their genius disciples into the Time Cave for training. However, the appearance of the War God Temple cast a shadow over everyone's hearts. In the end, Long Lai, Shiren Wang, and Fire Phoenix Supremacy discussed and decided to send Long Zhantian, Li Jingming, Phoenix Maiden, and Lin Hui. They were already half-step supreme beings. If they could obtain an opportunity in the Time Cave, it would only be a matter of time before they became supreme beings. Moreover, with Ling Xiao's protection, they felt much more at ease. In the end, after they finished their discussion, they returned and agreed to meet at Shura Sect a month later to head to the Time Cave together. During this month, Ling Xiao remained in the Shura Sect to continue cultivating. The great fate divination technique is mysterious and unfathomable. It involves the illusory power of destiny. Perhaps it will be of vital importance to my trip to the Time Cave. The sword spirit of the heaven-devouring sword had already taken initial form, and it had already recovered the fighting strength of a supreme weapon. So, he might be able to find that thing in the Time Cave if he wanted to recover the strength of a divine weapon. The most important thing is the ancestral dragon secret art. My heavenly dragon body has reached perfection and I have the 12th rank Blood Lotus. If I can find those complete divine items in the Time Cave, I'll be able to condense a true dragon body. At that time, I'll be able to move unhindered in the Time Cave. No matter what schemes the War God Temple had, his own strength was the most important. Even though the Heaven's Fate divination art predicts that there is no chance of survival in this year's chosen convention, I still have to do my best to find a way to break out of this situation. Ling Xiao sat cross-legged in a secret chamber and sorted out his strength. At the same time, he had a preliminary plan for the upcoming chosen convention. The Time Cave was mysterious and unfathomable. It could be said to be the most mysterious underworld among the 8 great forbidden zones. It contained the power of time and was rumored to be the remains of an ancient battle between gods. There were many secret realms, treasures, and inheritances within. The chosen convention attracted the geniuses of the entire War God continent. It wasn't just the rewards of the War God Temple that attracted them. More importantly, it was the opportunities within the Time Cave. It was said that one could even exchange for the power of time in the Time Cave. Many half-step supremes who were nearing the end of their lifespans would pay a price in the Time Cave in exchange for time. There were many such examples in the history of the War God continent. Therefore, the chosen convention was a grand event for the entire War God continent. Even though there was still more than a month to go, countless experts had already rushed to the Time Cave. In this 1 month, Ling Xiao's comprehension of the Heaven's Fate divination art didn't increase by much. However, his cultivation had become more stable. On this day, Long Zhantian, Phoenix Maiden, and Lin Hui had all arrived at the Azura Sect. Long Zhantian and Li Jingming were the same. They had already passed the tribulation of 3 divisions. Their essence, energy, and spirit had all been condensed. Their cultivation had advanced by leaps and bounds. Lin Hui had passed the tribulation of 2 divisions and was about to break through to the tribulation of 3 divisions. Only Phoenix Maiden's cultivation was slightly lower. She had only just broken through to half-step supremes. However, she possessed the bloodline of the Black Wind. She had also obtained the true Phoenix secret technique from Ling Xiao. Her combat strength was extremely strong. If she could obtain an opportunity in the Time Cave, she would definitely advance by leaps and bounds. Ling Xiao, Li Jingming, Long Zhantian, Phoenix Maiden, and Lin Hui were the 5 people who would participate in the chosen convention. Let's go! Long Lai glanced at the 5 of them and slowly said, This time, Long Lai had decided to personally escort them to the Time Cave. It must be because of the strength displayed by the War God Temple that even Long Lai couldn't help but feel apprehensive. But Ling Xiao and the other four nodded. Their eyes revealed a trace of anticipation. This time, the Heavenly God Assembly would be filled with geniuses and monstrous geniuses. Especially the top 10 monstrous geniuses on the Azure Sky ranking. They were all filled with anticipation. They wanted to display their skills in the chosen convention and shake the War God continent. Buzz. Long Lai waved his sleeves and instantly swept up Ling Xiao and the other four. A resplendent light broke through the void before them and Long Lai stepped in. The Time Cave was located in the center of the War God continent. It was within a mysterious mountain range. The Time Cave was vast and boundless. However, the entrance was a huge cave that contained a terrifying chaotic power of time. Even a supreme being expert would die without a doubt if they accidentally entered. Heaven Choice City was the closest ancient city to the Time Cave. It was said that it had existed for hundreds of thousands of years. It contained mysterious supreme being Dao marks. It was a sacred city. It was even said that Heaven Choice City was the place where the Scarlet Dragon War God comprehended the Dao. It was extremely mysterious. Every year, countless geniuses would come here to make a pilgrimage. During this period of time, because the chosen convention was about to begin, Heaven Choice City became incomparably lively. Countless young geniuses and peerless geniuses of the War God continent rushed to Heaven Choice City. Heaven Choice City's void teleportation array became extremely crowded. At every moment, countless people would rush out from it. Long Lai brought Ling Xiao and the other four through the void and arrived in front of Heaven Choice City. Ling Xiao, the 5 of you go to Heaven Choice City first. I'm going to meet an old friend. When the chosen convention begins, I'll come to find you. Long Lai said a few words to Ling Xiao and left. But Ling Xiao smiled and walked towards Heaven Choice City with Long Zhantian and the others. Ling Xiao, this is bad. Just as they arrived at the entrance of Heaven Choice City, Long Zhantian's expression suddenly changed. A trace of a bitter smile appeared on his face. What's going on? Ling Xiao was slightly stunned. I sensed Ao Tian's aura. Royal Father didn't allow him to participate in the chosen convention and even grounded him. I didn't expect this kid to be so crafty. I don't know what's going on, but he actually came to Heaven Choice City. Long Zhantian shook his head helplessly. He sensed a very familiar aura. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed, and he immediately saw Long Outyin, who was standing in front of the queue to enter the city, preparing to enter. It was indeed this kid. Ling Xiao's eyes suddenly revealed a trace of a strange look. He walked up and pulled Long Outyin's ear. Ouch, ouch, bastard, who dares to pull this dragon's ear? Long Outyin was furious and immediately cursed. But when he turned his head and saw Ling Xiao's smile, his entire body trembled. Chapter 738. Cousin, you're here? Where's the old man? The old man isn't with you, right? Long Outyin was so scared that he quickly hid behind Ling Xiao. He stuck his head out and saw that only Long Zhantian, Li Jingming, Lin Hui, and Phoenix Maiden were there. Scared me to death. Long Outyin heaved a sigh of relief. It seemed like he was scared out of his wits. Outyin, you're getting more and more outrageous. The Heaven's Choice Convention is such a dangerous place. Is it a place where you can casually go? I'll tell Father later and let him bring you back. Long Zhantian's gaze was solemn as he glared at Long Outyin. Big brother, you can't tell the old man. Long Outyin jumped in fright and quickly ran over to hug Long Zhantian's arm. Big brother, don't worry. After entering the Heaven's Choice Convention, I'll listen to you and cousin. I'll do whatever you tell me to do. No, it's still too dangerous. Long Zhantian's attitude was very firm. Countless geniuses had gathered in this Heaven's Choice Convention. The top 10 monstrous geniuses on the Azure Cloud roll would all come. Even he had to be cautious, let alone Long Outyin. Cousin, I beg you. As long as you don't tell the old man, I'll do whatever you tell me. Long Outyin saw that Long Zhantian's attitude was firm. He rolled his eyes and immediately ran over to hug Ling Xiao's leg. He looked like he wouldn't get up if Ling Xiao didn't agree. Ling Xiao glanced at Long Outyin and pondered for a moment. Ling Xiao, don't tell me you really want to bring Outyin into the time cave? It's too dangerous. Long Zhantian was a little anxious. No matter, let's enter the Heaven's Choice City first. I remember that there's a great opportunity in the time cave. If Outyin can obtain it, his strength will definitely increase by leaps and bounds. Ling Zhao's eyes revealed a trace of light as he smiled faintly. What great opportunity! Long Outyin immediately became interested and quickly asked. Let's enter the city first. Ling Xiao smiled and kept them in suspense as he walked towards the Heaven's Choice City. Long Zhantian and the rest also followed behind. The Heaven's Choice City looked ancient and heavy, exuding a majestic aura. The city walls were several hundred meters tall and were completely gray in color. They looked mottled and flowed with the aura of time. Legend has it that the stones used to build Heaven Choice City came from the outer regions of the time cave. They were extremely hard and carried a mysterious aura of time. Ling Xiao and the rest followed behind the long queue and entered Heaven's Choice City. The streets of Heaven's Choice City were wide with majestic palaces and pavilions on both sides. It looked very lively with countless powerful auras coming and going. Each of them carried an extremely confident aura. It was less than a month before the start of the Heaven's Choice Convention. Many genius powerhouses of the martial Dao Holy Land had already arrived at the Heaven's Choice City in advance. Ling Xiao noticed that the young geniuses of Heaven's Choice City were at least at the Monarch realm, and many were at the Quasi-Exalt realm. There were also many old monsters who were nearing the end of their lifespans. There was no lack of experts who had passed the tribulations of 3 or 4 symbols. All of their auras were monstrous and unfathomable. There was no age limit to the Heaven's Choice Convention. As long as one was below the sovereign realm, one could participate. So many old monsters were prepared to enter the time cave and take a gamble. If one could attain the sovereign realm, one would obtain a lifespan of 10,000 years. If one failed, one would die. The Heaven Profound Convention was hosted by the War God Temple. The War God Temple was incomparably mysterious. The entire War God continent didn't know where the War God Temple was located. They only knew that Heaven's Choice City was the only city controlled by the War God Temple. So no one dared to act rashly in Heaven's Choice City. However, with so many martial Dao holy lands gathered here, it was inevitable that there would be some grudges that needed to be resolved. So, Heaven's Choice City had set up a life and death arena for those powerhouses who had grudges to resolve their grudges in the life and death arena. Ling Xiao, you're here? Huh. Come find me. I'm at the Heaven's Pride Pavilion. Ling Xiao had just entered Heaven's Choice City when he heard a voice in his mind. Taoist Wu Yang? Ling Xiao was slightly stunned. He hadn't expected that Taoist Wu Yang would also be in Heaven's Choice City. Moreover, he was actually in the Heaven's Pride Pavilion. The Heaven's Pride Pavilion was the most famous restaurant in Heaven's Choice City. It was said that only peerless geniuses and monstrous geniuses could enter. Come, let's go to the Heaven's Pride Pavilion. Ling Zhao's eyes moved. Immediately, he walked towards the Heaven's Pride Pavilion with Long Zhantian and the others. The Heaven's Pride Pavilion was located in the depths of Heaven's Choice City. It was a huge restaurant that was hundreds of feet tall. It looked very majestic and was emitting a strange power of array. The words Heaven's Pride Pavilion were flamboyant and flamboyant. It emitted a bright light. As long as one arrived here, they would be able to see it. The Heaven's Pride Pavilion had a total of 9 floors. Each floor was incomparably spacious. Ling Xiao saw that many people had already arrived at the Heaven's Pride Pavilion. They were all imposing and extraordinary young geniuses. Ling Xiao, I'm on the 9th floor. Come up quickly. Your old lover is also here. Taoist Wu Yang's voice sounded. The 9th floor of the Heaven's Pride Pavilion was only accessible to those who had reached the half-step sovereign realm and were under 100 years old. Ling Xiao was slightly taken aback. He did not expect Taoist Wu Yang to have reached the half-step sovereign realm. It seemed that Taoist Wu Yang had also encountered a lot of opportunities during this period of time. Long Zhantian, Li Jingming and Lin Hui were all famous geniuses. They represented the three holy lands respectively. When they reported their identities, the beautiful maids of the Heaven's Pride Pavilion immediately led them to the 9th floor. On the 9th floor of the Heaven's Pride Pavilion, there were hundreds of tables. Each table was made of precious spiritual wood. The four sides of the table were made of glass. It was almost possible to have a panoramic view of the entire Heaven's Choice City. Ling Xiao and the others arrived at the 9th floor. They saw that there were already dozens of young experts with extraordinary auras. They were all half-step sovereigns. When Taoist Wuliang saw Ling Xiao, his eyes lit up. Ling Xiao here. Taoist Wuliang sat by the window. He was dressed in a white Taoist robe and held a horsetail whisk in his hand. He looked like an immortal with a jade-like appearance. Opposite him was Yueshan. She was dressed in a white robe. Her hair was like a waterfall. Her entire body was enveloped in moonlight. She emitted a cold aura and was peerless. She was like a goddess from the Moon Palace. Beside Taoist Wuliang, there was another person that Ling Xiao did not expect. It was the 9th princess of the ancient kingdom of Azure Dragon, Yuanwan. Yuanwan's cultivation was only at the monarch realm. At this moment, she was still dressed in green armor. Her face was gentle and beautiful, and her figure was slender. She looked valiant and formidable. However, she sat beside Taoist Wuliang. Her eyes were filled with tenderness and her cheeks were red. She looked like a virtuous wife. It can't be, right? Taoist Wuliang actually managed to seduce Yuanwan? Ling Xiao's eyes revealed a strange look. Chapter 739. Where have you been all this time? Could it be that you went to the ancient kingdom of Dragon? Ling Xiao's eyes flashed as he looked at Yuanwan, who was beside Taoist Wuliang. Ling Xiao realized that Taoist Wuliang had already passed the tribulation of the four symbols and was only half a step away from the supreme realm. It's a secret. But this time, I helped you take revenge. You have to treat me to a drink. At the same time, I helped Wanwan solve the problem of the ancient kingdom of Dragon. Taoist Wuliang smiled mysteriously. Help me take revenge? What do you mean? Ling Xiao was confused. Yueshan smiled and said, over the past year, Star Palace, Nantian Family, Emperor Tomb Mountain, and other martial arts sanctuaries that have a grudge with you have all been visited by this Taoist priest. Many treasures have been lost in their tombs. Now, those martial arts sanctuaries are furious and can't wait to tear him into pieces. Ling Xiao looked at Taoist Wuliang speechlessly and said, Tomb raiding? You actually did it? Then why did you still dare to swagger around here? Aren't you afraid that those sanctuaries will seek revenge on you? Taoist Wuliang said indifferently, those dregs want to catch me? They must be dreaming. Wait until I enter the time cave and become a supreme realm cultivator. Then I'll go visit their sanctuaries. It's a pity that I only went around the periphery and didn't go deep into the tombs. If I had robbed their founder's tomb, I would have found many good things. Taoist priest, what treasures did you steal? Show them to me. When Long Outyan heard that Taoist Wuliang had robbed the tombs of the sanctuaries, his eyes lit up and he urged him. Do you want to see? I'll show you later. Do you want me to bring you along next time? Taoist Wuliang pinched Long Outyan's chubby little face and said in a seductive tone. Taoist Wuliang, how dare you lead my brother astray? I'm not done with you. Long Zhantian immediately pulled Long Outyan behind him and glared at Taoist Wuliang vigilantly. Long Outyan was already naughty and mischievous enough. If he was tricked into robbing tombs by Taoist Wuliang, the dignified 9th prince of the Dragon Clan would actually become a tomb robber. Perhaps he would really become a street rat, hated by everyone. Thinking of that scene, Long Zhantian could not help but shudder. With such good aptitude, if you take me as your master, you will sooner or later become a paragon and dominate the world. What a pity! Taoist Wuliang glanced at Long Outyan and chuckled. Following that, Taoist Wuliang told Ling Xiao about his experiences during this period of time. It turned out that Taoist Wuliang had been robbing tombs along the way. Furthermore, he had specifically picked the ancestral tombs of the martial arts Holy Lands. These martial arts Holy Lands hated him so much that they had sent experts to hunt him down. In the end, Taoist Wuliang met Yu Wanwan in the ancient kingdom of Dragon. The ancient kingdom of Dragon had fallen into chaos during this period of time because the mortal emperor and crown prince had been possessed by the extraterrestrial demon. The remaining crown princes fought against each other in order to seize the throne of the mortal emperor. However, Taoist Wuliang somehow managed to convince the other crown princes to support Yu Wanwan as the empress of the ancient kingdom of Dragon and quell the rebellion in the ancient kingdom of Dragon. After being cleansed by the draconic energy, Yu Wanwan's cultivation had improved by leaps and bounds. She had already reached the peak of the 9th level monarch realm and was only a step away from breaking through to the half-step paragon realm. Taoist Wuliang had also captured Yu Wanwan's heart. She had willingly followed Taoist Wuliang to the heavenly selection meeting this time. The crown princes of the ancient kingdom of Dragon were willing to give up the throne of the mortal emperor to support the 9th princess? What method did you use? Ling Xiao asked curiously. After all, Yu Wanwan was the youngest princess. Even if the throne was inherited according to the order of succession, it would not be her turn. Moreover, she was a woman. How could the ancient kingdom of Dragon be willing to support an empress? I have a brilliant plan. I'm not telling you. Taoist Wuliang chuckled. Ling Xiao glared at him in annoyance. However, Ling Xiao had already guessed that Taoist Wuliang's ability to bewitch people had become even more powerful. Don't you dare use your methods to harm innocent girls. Ling Xiao said, implying something. Don't worry, Wanwan and I are truly in love. Taoist Wuliang said shamelessly with a smug look on his face. Yu Wanwan, who was beside him, did not object. Instead, she stared at Taoist Wuliang affectionately. Her face was blushing and her beauty was moving. Long Zhantian and Li Jingming looked at each other and smiled bitterly. This Taoist Wuliang was really capable to make the empress of the ancient kingdom of Dragon be so loyal to him. Ling Xiao and the others were chatting. However, they had already set up a layer of restrictions so that no one could hear what they were saying. The moon goddess and the phoenix maiden were peerlessly beautiful and attracted the attention of many. The moon goddess wore a long white robe and her entire body was shrouded in the cold moonlight. Her hair was like a waterfall and her skin was whiter than snow. Her entire body exuded a cold and refined temperament. She was like an otherworldly goddess, making people feel ashamed of their inferiority at first glance. The phoenix maiden wore a black dress. Her figure was graceful and her curves were exquisite. She was extremely hot and her entire body exuded a seductive aura. It was hard not to attract attention when the two of them sat together. Those two should be the moon goddess of the moon palace and the phoenix maiden of the mountain of flames, right? They're indeed peerless. If I'm not wrong, they should be the eldest disciple of the Shura sect, Li Jingming, the eldest prince of the Crystal Palace, Long Zhantian, and Lin Hui of the Mountain of Flames. The strongest cultivators of the 3 great demon sacred grounds are all here. I wonder where the sky-burning demon emperor is? Sky-burning demon emperor? That's a ruthless person on the green cloud roll. Even if he was defeated by Ling Xiao, I heard that he has recently cultivated another peerless martial art. He'll definitely shine in this year's chosen one. Who's sitting between the moon goddess and the phoenix maiden? That kid really has great fortune. He wouldn't be Ling Xiao, right? The gazes of everyone flickered while some discussed in low voices and guessed the identities of Ling Xiao and the others. In the end, someone's gaze descended onto Ling Xiao, and he spoke with slight surprise and bewilderment. Ling Xiao? That's really possible. He seems to only be at the half-step exalt realm, and he hasn't even overcome the earth tribulation. How did he defeat the sky-burning demon emperor that day? All of you don't know, right? Supposedly, Ling Xiao was only at the 9th level of the monarch realm when he defeated the sky-burning demon emperor. Supposedly, he's the nephew of the dragon king, Long Lai. He possesses the bloodline of a true dragon and possesses extraordinary natural talent. Someone's curiosity had been aroused by Ling Xiao, and they started discussing in low voices. Ling Xiao, besides those 9 fellows on the ascension rankings, there are probably some others that you have to be careful of. Chapter 740. Who else? My cousin has already slaughtered 2 supreme beings. He's not even afraid of those on the Azure Sky Roll, let alone those who aren't on the Azure Sky Roll. Long Outyin said in disbelief. That's not the case. Taoist Wuliang smiled faintly and said, the top 10 prodigies on the Azure Sky Roll can indeed represent the top prodigies of the War God continent's younger generation. However, there are still some who aren't famous but aren't any weaker than the prodigies on the Azure Sky Roll. Look at that person. Taoist Wuliang's gaze landed in the distance. Sitting by the window was a young man in green armor. He was tall and slender, with a jade-like face. His expression was incomparably calm as he drank by himself. For some reason, Ling Xiao looked at the young man in green armor with a sharp glint in his eyes. He actually felt a faint sense of danger. That young man's name is Qin Yun. He has already passed the tribulation of 4 symbols. He just came to Heaven's Choice City not long ago. No one knows where he came from, but someone saw him kill a primordial ferocious beast with a single spear strike. His physical body is strong, and he possesses the supreme lightning Dao divine ability. He's a formidable opponent. As if noticing Taoist Wuliang's gaze, the young man raised his head slightly. There seemed to be a trace of chaotic lightning in his eyes, containing endless mystery and majesty. Qin Yun? He's really strong. Ling Xiao nodded. There's also that one. Taoist Wuliang's gaze landed on another table. The table was filled with all kinds of delicious delicacies and nectar. There was a fat man who looked like a mountain of meat. His eyes were so small that they almost couldn't be seen. He was holding a huge leg of lamb and eating heartily. That fat pig's name is Zhu Biao. His origin is very mysterious. He should be the successor of a powerful ancient race. He also passed the tribulation of 4 symbols. However, this fat pig wanted to tease the moon goddess, so I fought with him. However, this fat pig's physical body is invincible and his defense is extremely strong. I couldn't break through his defense at all and was almost bitten by him. Taoist Wuliang's eyes were filled with resentment. Invincible physical body? Ling Zhao's gaze turned solemn. He was well aware of Taoist Wuliang's strength. Now that he had passed the tribulation of 4 symbols, his true battle strength was probably not weaker than Ling Zhao's. However, even Taoist Wuliang said that he could not break through Zhu Biao's defense. This showed how terrifying this person was. Ling Xiao could faintly feel that Zhu Biao's mountain-like body contained an extremely terrifying power. It shouldn't be a human. Could it be a divine beast? Ling Xiao pondered for a moment and made a mental note of it. Zhu Biao raised his head and grinned at Taoist Wuliang, then gave Moon Goddess and Phoenix Maiden a lustful look. After that, he picked up the lamb leg and began to chew on it. There's also Jian Wushuang from the Sword God Pavilion. His heart integrated into the sword is a natural sword cultivator with unparalleled strength. It said that he passed the 4 symbols tribulation in one go after the holy ground and has the strength to make it to the green cloud ranking. Taoist Wuliang mentioned another person. Ling Xiao had seen Jian Wushuang before in the holy ground. He was indeed a sword fanatic. He had no distractions in his heart and only focused on the sword principle. At that time, he, Long Zhantian, and Li Jingming had all passed the tribulation of 1 symbol. Ling Xiao did not expect him to be the first to pass the tribulation of 4 symbols in such a short time. All in all, this year's Chosen One convention is not simple. Other than the few that I mentioned, there will be many genius experts from the holy grounds and hidden sections. They may not make it to the green cloud ranking, but their combat power is definitely not to be underestimated. Taoist Wuliang said slowly. As soon as Taoist Wuliang finished speaking, a group of people walked up to the Genius Tower. A group of dignified and extraordinary young geniuses surrounded a young man in a purple robe as they walked up. The young man in the purple robe looked to be in his 20s. He had a heroic figure and looked very handsome. The purple robe on his body was inlaid with the sun, moon, and stars. There was also a scene of thousands of creatures worshipping him. He looked mysterious and unpredictable. His hair was tied up with a jade crown. His expression was calm and there was a faint purple aura in his eyes. He looked majestic and mysterious, like an emperor who ruled the heavens. It's the Star Palace's Zi Wei Xing? The sixth on the green cloud ranking is indeed the Zi Wei Xing. Greetings to the Zi Wei Xing. The geniuses on the ninth floor were suddenly in an uproar. Each and every one of them had a look of shock in their eyes. Sixth on the green cloud ranking, Zi Wei Xingzi. He was a half-step supreme being with the tribulation of 4 symbols. He had once killed 2 supreme beings. However, that was a matter of decades ago. Now, Zi Wei Xingzi looked even more unfathomable. Many geniuses stood up. Although they were very proud in front of the Zi Wei Xing, they had no right to be proud. However, Qin Yun, Zhu Biao, and Ling Zhao's table did not stand up. Zi Wei Xing? Ling Xiao, this is your archenemy. Taoist Wu Yang's eyes revealed a strange look. Out of the 5 stars of the Star Palace, Ling Xiao had actually killed 4 of them. Only the Zi Wei Xing was left. The appearance of the Zi Wei Xing in the Genius Tower immediately made the atmosphere a little strange. Ling Zhao's eyes also revealed a trace of sharpness. The Zi Wei Xing did look extraordinary. He had already passed the tribulation of 4 symbols, 3 flowers at one's prominence, 5 cheese unification, Zhou Tian as 1, and his body exuded an extremely rich Zi Wei Xing's power. His strength was unfathomable. The Zi Wei Xing was the Emperor Star and also the first star in the heavens. To be named after the Zi Wei Xing, one could see his position in the Star Palace. Ling Xiao. The Zi Wei Xing's eyes flashed and he had also discovered Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao had killed 4 stars. Everyone in the Star Palace hated him to the core. Naturally, they knew him very well. Ling Xiao did not hide his appearance, so naturally he was easily discovered by the Zi Wei Xing. Everyone's expression became a little strange. Although Ling Xiao was ranked 10th on the Green Cloud ranking, his battle record of killing the Leopard Demon Reverend had already spread. Many people thought that Ling Xiao's true strength was definitely not ranked 10th on the Green Cloud ranking. The Zi Wei Xing was also a peerless genius. He had once killed a supreme being a few decades ago. All these years, he had been cultivating in seclusion. His strength was even more unfathomable. The 2 of them were archenemies. Now that they had met, could it be that they were going to fight in the Genius Tower? Ling Xiao and the Zi Wei Xing looked at each other. Suddenly, it was as if there was a bright light that exploded, causing the entire Genius Tower to become somewhat oppressive. The Zi Wei Xing said faintly, "Indeed, you have some strength. No wonder you could kill those 4 pieces of trash." However, even if they were trash, they were still disciples of the Star Palace. Not just anyone can kill them. Using your life to pay for the 4 of them is very fair. Chapter 741. Those who kill will be killed by others. If the disciples of Star Palace can kill, why can't others kill them? My life is here. As long as you have the ability, come and take it. Ling Xiao smiled faintly and he did not take Zi Wei Xing's threat seriously. Young man, don't be too arrogant. Don't think that you have the right to be arrogant just because you defeated the sky-burning demon emperor. You should know that there is always someone better than you. I'll let you live for another 2 days. In the Chosen One meeting, I will definitely take your life. Zi Wei Xing's eyes shot out a ray of light and he said coldly, "Don't act tough. You will be struck by lightning. Those who have said such words to me are all dead. I think you won't be an exception." Ling Xiao said faintly, "That's right. What bullshit, Zi Wei Xing. If you have the ability, fight with my cousin. I think it's time for you to give up your 6th place on the Green Cloud ranking." Long Outyin chuckled coldly. "Huh." Zi Wei Xing's eyes turned cold. Forget about Ling Xiao. How dare an 8 or 9-year-old kid mock him? Suddenly, there was a ray of silver light that shot out from his eyes. It contained a strong primordial spirit power and it was as though it wanted to intimidate Long Outyin. "Get lost." Ling Zhao's eyes flashed and he shouted coldly. A strange sound wave exploded and blocked the ray of silver light. "How dare you attack a kid? Zi Wei Xing, do you really think that I don't dare to kill you?" There was a flash of murderous intent in Ling Zhao's eyes and his voice was extremely cold. "You don't know your manners. I'm just teaching you a lesson on your behalf. If you dare to be so arrogant in the Chosen One meeting, I'm afraid you won't even know how you died. Ziwei Xing smiled faintly. His gaze fell on Phoenix Girl and Yueshin and he said, "Both of you are peerless beauties. Don't be fooled by some shameless person." "You don't have to worry," Yueshin said faintly. "I think the word shameless should be used on Ziwei. At least Ling Xiao wouldn't attack a kid." The Phoenix Maiden also smiled faintly, not giving the Emperor Star any face. The Ziwei Star glanced at Ling Xiao and the others indifferently. He didn't say anything and walked towards another table under the escort of the crowd. "Interesting. Was that Ling Xiao? I heard that he'd defeated the Heaven-Scorched Demon Emperor when he was at the 9th level of the Monarch Realm, and he'd killed the Leopard Demon Exalt when he broke through to the Quasi-Exalt Realm. This natural talent really is terrifying. Once he overcomes the tribulation of the four symbols, perhaps he really has a chance to battle the freaks in the top 3 of the Ascension rankings." In a corner of the 9th floor, a figure in a black robe with a black veil covering her face, only revealing a pair of beautiful eyes, glanced at Ling Xiao with a hint of curiosity. Behind her were 2 maids dressed in black robes. Both of them looked pretty and were actually half-step Supreme Being cultivators. "Young miss, don't tell me you're feeling amorous and want to find us a son-in-law? That Ling Xiao has delicate features and a handsome face. He and miss are a match made in heaven." One of the maids giggled. "Damn girl, see if I don't tear your mouth apart. If you keep talking nonsense, I'll give you to that Ling Xiao to be a bed-warming maid." The black-robed woman glared at her. "Hee hee, young miss, you're ranked 8th on the Ascension rankings. You're even more powerful than that Ling Xiao. Moreover, you hid your strength. Otherwise, there would definitely be a place for you in the top 3. That Ziwei Star is really annoying. He actually dares to have ideas about son-in-law. Why don't we teach him a lesson?" The 2 maids giggled and said eagerly, "Teach Ziwei Star a lesson? Even I don't have the confidence. You two better forget it." The black-robed woman's eyes turned, revealing a trace of craftiness. No one knew that this black-robed woman was the 8th on the Ascension rankings, the 9 Nether Devil Sect's little she-devil, Leng Yuyu. Ling Zhao's heart stirred. Feeling someone's gaze, he immediately raised his head and saw Leng Yuyu's clear gaze. Another powerhouse who passed the 4 symbols tribulation. This Heaven Choice City is really full of crouching tigers and hidden dragons. Ling Xiao secretly thought in his heart. That black-robed woman smiled sweetly at him and turned her head away. Ling Xiao felt a very familiar aura from her body. 9 Nether Scripture? Is she someone from the 9 Nether Devil Sect? Could she be the 8th on the Ascension rankings, Leng Yuyu? Ling Zhao's heart stirred and guessed Leng Yuyu's identity. Genius powerhouses constantly came to the Heaven's Pride Tower. Everyone was chatting with each other, discussing which famous monstrous geniuses came to Heaven Choice City. Sword God Pavilion's Jian Wushuang and Dugu family's Dugu Shui are in the life and death arena. Everyone quickly go and take a look. Suddenly, there was a commotion. An incomparably explosive news spread out. What? Jian Wushuang versus Dugu Shui? Quickly go and take a look. The battle between 2 peerless sword cultivators must not be missed. Dugu Shui is a peerless genius ranked 4th on the Ascension rankings. Jian Wushuang doesn't seem to be on the Ascension rankings at all, right? He's no match for Dugu Shui at all. What's the suspense in this battle? Hee, you don't know about this, right? I heard that Jian Wushuang is a rare sword principle genius. He had a fortuitous encounter in the Holy Ground and his cultivation advanced by leaps and bounds. He has already passed the 4 symbols calamity and comprehended the supreme unique skill of the Sword God Pavilion, the Sword God skill. Ha! Sword God skill versus Sword Demon Supreme Scripture. We must not miss it. Quickly go and take a look. The crowd's discussion reached Ling Xiao and the rest's ears. Jian Wushuang is going to fight with Dugu Shui? Let's go and take a look. Li Jingming's eyes revealed a glimmer of light. Jian Wushuang was a famous sword fanatic. Since his debut, he had constantly challenged various geniuses. The more he fought, the braver he became. He was known as the #1 genius of the Sword God Pavilion in the past 10,000 years. It was said that the cultivation of the sword god skill was very harsh. It was said that in the sword god pavilion, only a supreme master could comprehend it. Unexpectedly, Jian Wushuang had comprehended it. Although Jian Wushuang was not on the ascension rankings, the fact that he had comprehended the sword god skill was enough to make everyone look forward to it. Jian Wushuang versus Du Guxue? Interesting. Ling Zhao's eyes flashed. He immediately left the Genius Tower with Taoist Wuliang and the rest and headed for the arena of life and death. In his previous life, Ling Zhao had 7 true disciples. The second disciple, Dugu Longqing, was a member of the Dugu family. He wanted to see how far Du Guxue had cultivated the sword demon supreme scripture. The arena of life and death did not look big. The stone platform had a radius of 90 feet and was cast with a gray ancient stone. It exuded an ancient and mysterious aura. However, there was a huge space in the arena of life and death that could accommodate many people at the same time. It was said that it was a treasure from ancient times. Even a supreme master could not damage the stone platform. Chapter 742. Since the news of the Heaven's Choice Convention had spread, countless experts had entered Heaven's Choice City. Many of the grudges between experts had been settled in the arena of life and death. But today, because of the battle between Jian Wushuang and Du Guxue, it had attracted the attention of everyone in Heaven's Choice City. Countless people had rushed to the arena of life and death to watch this exceptional battle. Jian Wushuang was dressed in white and had white hair. He carried an ancient sword on his back and stood straight. He was like an unsheathed divine sword, exuding a vast and pure sword essence. His eyes were incomparably sharp, as if they contained 2 blazing divine swords. He stared at Du Guxue in front of him and was filled with shocking battle intent. Du Guxue was a young man in his 20s. He wore a blood-red robe and his black hair fluttered in the wind. His eyes seemed to be filled with blood. He carried a black heavy sword on his back. It was pitch black and exuded a terrifying demonic fluctuation. Anyone who looked at it would feel cold all over, as if they had been dismembered by a terrifying sword light. This was Du Guxue, a peerless genius ranked 4th on the Azure Cloud leaderboard. He cultivated the sword demon's supreme scripture. The black heavy sword in his hand was called the Great Sky Sword. It was a top-grade supreme artifact with unparalleled power. "Thank you for being willing to fight with me," Jian Wushuang said seriously. The battle intent in his eyes was blazing as if it had materialized. "Don't thank me. I just want to see one of the 3 great sword skills in the world, the sword god skill. After all, the long life secret has disappeared for so long. Now, only the sword god skill is enough to excite me," Du Guxue said faintly with a bloodthirsty look in his eyes. The 3 great sword skills in the world were the long life secret, the sword god skill, and the sword demon supreme sutra. Legend had it that these were the 3 greatest sword skills in the world. They were all peerless sword skills that could be used by the supreme gods. 10,000 years ago, the long life secret disappeared along with the long life sect. Today, the war god continent only had the sword god skill and the sword demon supreme sutra. Du Guxue was the first person below the supreme realm to cultivate the sword demon supreme sutra in the Dugu family. Today, the sword god skill finally had a successor. This battle will determine victory and defeat, as well as life and death, Jian Wushuang said slowly with a trace of determination in his eyes. "As you wish," Du Guxue said faintly. Rumble. A vast and terrifying aura rose. The aura around Du Guxue was violent. The terrifying sword intent condensed like a vast ocean, condensing the space and forming a terrifying sword domain. Jian Wushuang, on the other hand, was like an extremely bright divine sword, cutting through everything and moving forward with an indomitable will. His sword essence was extremely pure. As the 2 powerful sword wills collided, the swords of countless swordsmen around began to buzz and tremble, as if they were worshipping their king. Jian Wushuang and Du Guxue's auras rose rapidly, containing a terrifying aura that could destroy the world. At this moment, the 2 of them were actually evenly matched. Just the clash of sword wills alone made the faces of the surrounding experts pale. They felt an extremely oppressive aura. Swordsman, the sharpness of the blade. Ling Xiao said indifferently. He had finally seen the peerless edge of a swordsman. Jian Wushuang and Dugu Shui were the purest sword cultivators. Ling Xiao, who do you think will win? Taoist Wu Yang asked. I think Dugu Shui will win. After all, he has been ranked 4th on the Azure Cloud ranking for a long time, while Jian Wushuang just had a breakthrough. Even if he cultivated the Sword God technique, he did not spend as much time as Dugu Shui on the Sword Demon Supreme Sutra. Long Outyan said with his head tilted. It's hard to say. The Sword God technique is also one of the 3 great sword techniques. Jian Wushuang is extremely talented and is the purest sword cultivator. His cultivation is similar to Dugu Shui's. This battle cannot be judged based on time alone. I'm afraid it's still unknown who will win. Li Jingming also slowly said, his eyes revealing a trace of seriousness. During the trip to the Holy Ground, Jian Wushuang's strength was on par with his. However, in such a short time, Li Jingming realized that Jian Wushuang's strength had far surpassed his. This did not mean that Li Jingming was too weak, but that Jian Wushuang was too abnormal. Let's wait and see. Ling Xiao did not answer, but there was a strange look in his eyes. He could tell that Dugu Shui had already cultivated the Sword Demon Supreme Sutra to the greater mastery realm. He could condense the Sword Demon territory, which was extremely powerful. Even Ling Xiao would have to expend a lot of effort to break through such power. Jian Wushuang was the first person Ling Xiao could not see through since his rebirth. Jian Wushuang was too pure. He was like a divine sword. Other than sword principle, there was nothing else in his heart. He did not even care about life and death. The only thing that could make him feel excited was the pinnacle of sword principle. Therefore, Jian Wushuang and Dugu Shui had no enmity, but they had to enter the arena of life and death to have a sword principle duel. There was great terror between life and death, but there was also the splendor of sword principle. Boom! When the aura between Jian Wushuang and Dugu Shui rose to the extreme, the two of them attacked almost at the same time. Clang! A bright sword light came across the sky. The long sword in Jian Wushuang's hand was like a Milky Way across the sky. It was dazzling, brilliant, and blazing. The great sky sword in Dugu Shui's hand looked very clumsy, so he simply slashed forward with it. The light in the sky seemed to have disappeared, and darkness descended. The black heavy sword contained an extreme demonic nature, and it burst out with the power of mountains and tsunamis. Rumble! The two swords collided, and a terrifying divine light exploded. The void turbulence surged, and endless chaotic fog spread out. Jian Wushuang and Dugu Shui retreated at the same time, and then rushed at each other at an even faster speed. Clang, clang, clang. Jian Wushuang and Dugu Shui seemed to have turned into billions of afterimages, and they quickly exchanged blows in the void. Every strike was extremely fast, and every strike contained the most terrifying killing intent. They were testing each other. The Sword God skill and the Sword Demon Supreme Sutra had not been used, but the momentum caused by them had already caused the world to tremble. It was comparable to a battle between supreme masters. Jian Wushuang's eyes were sharp, and his battle intent was soaring. He only had eyes for Dugu Shui and the sword in his hand. Jian Wushuang slashed out 7 times in an instant. The dazzling sword light lit up the void, sealed the area, and traversed the sky. It contained the power of great destruction. It was the 7 strokes of heaven interception, a supreme killing skill that was second only to the Sword God skill in the Sword God Pavilion. It contained the power to cut off the world. Good! Dugu Shui's eyes flashed sharply, and the black demonic light around him soared into the sky. It turned into billions of black sword light above the 9 heavens, and flew toward the 7 strokes of heaven interception. Chapter 743. In the arena of life and death, there was a huge formation world with mountains, lakes, flowers, insects, fish, and endless stars. It was like a real world. Jian Wushuang and Dugu Shui were fighting in the arena of life and death, and everyone outside could see it clearly. The unparalleled sword essence seemed to pass through the arena of life and death, making everyone outside feel suffocated and depressed. Dugu Ninju Sword. This is the Dugu family's unique sword skill, second only to the Sword Demon Supreme Sutra. The collision between the 7 strokes of heaven interception and the Dugu Ninju Sword, it's so exciting. The battle of the pinnacle of sword principle, this is a grand occasion for us sword cultivators. Many geniuses and experts who were watching the battle discussed animatedly. In particular, some of the sword cultivators were extremely excited. 4 sword cultivators on the War God continent, the Dugu family and the Sword God Pavilion were the 2 holy lands of sword principle, where countless sword cultivators yearned to go. The battle between Jian Wushuang and Dugu Shui made them feel like they were on a pilgrimage. It was as if they had witnessed the battle of the pinnacle of sword principle. Rumble. The Dugu Ninju sword was extremely swift and fierce. The demon aura in the sky turned into billions of Dugu sword chi, which instantly drowned Jian Wushuang's 7 strokes of heaven interception. The terrifying sword light intertwined, one white and one black. It was like the collision of light and darkness, bursting out tens of thousands of divine light. Jian Wushuang's battle intent grew stronger and stronger. The 7 strokes of heaven interception seemed to have become his instinct. Every sword attack had a terrifying sword essence that could destroy the void. The mountains in all directions collapsed with a rumble, turning into fine powder under the unparalleled sword light. The ground was full of crisscrossing ravines. The terrifying sword essence seemed to have transcended the world and reached the supreme sword god realm. Come on. Dugu Shui's eyes were filled with demon aura, revealing a hint of madness. He fought like a madman, and the terrifying sword essence rose around him. The black great sky sword flew across the sky like an ancient sacred mountain, constantly suppressing Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang's sword principle was exquisite to the extreme. He was like a god from outer space, and every sword contained extremely bright light. Dugu Shui, on the other hand, was like a crazy sword demon. The heavy sword in his hand sealed the world and suppressed with a terrifying aura. The 7 swords of heaven interception and the 9 swords of Dugu fought fiercely. Those incomparably exquisite sword techniques drew upon the power of the laws of heaven and earth, and they contained terrifying and monstrous power. Everyone was dazzled. Even the half-step supreme masters could not see the figures of Jian Wushuang and Dugu Shui. They could only see a white sword light and a black sword light colliding rapidly. Only a few people could clearly see the figures of Jian Wushuang and Dugu Shui. Many people's gazes turned solemn. The power and terror of a sword cultivator were evident. They all asked themselves if they would have the courage to fight against Jian Wushuang and Dugu Shui. More people were amazed. Jian Wushuang really lived up to his name. He was much younger than Dugu Shui, but he broke through everything with a peerless sharpness and stood opposite Dugu Shui. Who will win this battle? The same thought appeared in many people's minds. I'm afraid that's hard to say, but I still feel that Dugu Shui should be able to win. Although the 7 swords of heaven interception is strong, Jian Wushuang has only comprehended the sword god technique for a short period of time. Dugu Shui's Sword Demon Supreme Sutra is said to have cultivated to the realm of becoming a demon or a god with a thought. It's unfathomable. An old man with an aged face and turbid eyes said slowly. However, his entire body emitted a mysterious fluctuation of sword intent. Obviously, this old man was also a powerful sword cultivator. It's a pity that Jian Wushuang is too straightforward. No matter who wins, either Jian Wushuang or Dugu Shui will die here today. Long Zhantian sighed softly. Die here? That won't happen. Both of them are peerless sword principle geniuses. Wouldn't it be a pity if they died like this? Ling Xiao smiled faintly, and a trace of sharpness appeared in his eyes. Oh, Brother Ling, could it be that you have a way? If you can resolve this battle, it will definitely be Sword Principle's fortune. Li Jingming's eyes also lit up. He had a good relationship with Jian Wushuang, but he felt that Jian Wushuang might not be Dugu Shui's opponent. In the end, Jian Wushuang might be the one to die. If Ling Xiao could save Jian Wushuang, it would naturally be a good thing. I do have a way, but let's see first. Ling Xiao smiled faintly. I've seen arrogant people, but I've never seen such arrogance. You dare to say that you can resolve the battle between Jian Wushuang and Dugushui? What a fool's dream. An ear-piercing voice sounded with a trace of disdain and a cold sneer. Who is it? Taoist Wu Yang and Long Outyen were both furious and immediately turned their heads. They saw the sky-burning demon emperor in red armor. His red hair fluttered in the wind. His figure was strong and handsome, and his entire body exuded a terrifying aura. The blazing flames seemed to be able to burn the void. He stood side by side with Ziwei Xingzi. The surrounding people moved aside, and there was a trace of respect in their eyes. Sky-burning demon emperor? Ling Xiao frowned slightly. He did not expect to meet the sky-burning demon emperor here. Moreover, the sky-burning demon emperor and Ziwei Xingzi were walking together. Ling Xiao, didn't you say that you could resolve this battle? Do you dare to make a bet with me? The sky-burning demon emperor looked at Ling Xiao coldly, and there was a trace of cold, killing intent in his eyes. He had been defeated by Ling Xiao on the trip to the Holy Ground. He had always thought that it was a great humiliation. In the end, what happened later made him realize that Ling Xiao was actually Long Hanyan's son. This made him even more furious, and he could not wait to kill Ling Xiao immediately. He could not even defeat Long Hanyan's son. What right did he have to say that he wanted to marry Long Hanyan? As a result, he even hated Long Hanyan. How do you want to bet? Ling Xiao looked at the sky-burning demon emperor indifferently and said. He could see the killing intent in the sky-burning demon emperor's eyes and knew the reason. It must be because the sky-burning demon emperor knew about his background. Very simple. I bet that Dugushui will survive this battle, and Jian Wushuang will definitely die. The sky-burning demon emperor sneered. Although Jian Wushuang looked strong, one should know that in the Holy Ground, Jian Wushuang, Long Zhantian, Li Jingming, and a few other experts had joined forces to besiege the sky-burning demon emperor. In the end, they were utterly defeated. The sky-burning demon emperor knew better than anyone how terrifying Dugushui was because he had once been defeated by Dugushui. Therefore, he thought that Jian Wushuang would definitely lose and die in this battle. As long as Dugushui used the Sword Demon Supreme Sutra, even if Jian Wushuang had comprehended the Sword God skill, he would still die. What do you want to bet? Ling Xiao asked indifferently. If I win, you will kneel before me and kowtow 3 times. If I lose, this celestial sun pearl will be yours. The sky-burning demon emperor sneered. There was a flash of light in his hand, and a fist-sized pearl appeared. It emitted a bright red glow and was covered in a layer of blazing sun primordial fire. It was very mysterious. If Ling Xiao knelt before him and kowtowed 3 times, he would have vented his anger. Celestial sun pearl? Everyone shuddered and sucked in a breath of cold air. The celestial sun pearl was a top-tier supreme weapon refined by the great sun demon Honorable of the Heavenly Demon Palace. He had collected the essence of the heavens and refined it in the extraterritorial starry sky for thousands of years. It could produce sun primordial fire that could burn the heavens and earth. It was extremely terrifying. Chapter 744. A top-tier supreme artifact? It's a good item indeed, but why don't we play a bigger game? Ling Xiao was not angry. He squinted his eyes and glanced at the sky-scorching demon emperor. What do you want to bet? The sky-scorching demon emperor frowned. Ling Xiao was not satisfied with just a celestial pearl. I need a mount. If you lose, you have to acknowledge me as your master and be my mount. Ling Xiao said with a faint smile. Do you want to die? The sky-scorching demon emperor's face turned cold, revealing a cold, murderous intent. He was instantly enraged. He wanted the sky-scorching demon emperor to be his mount? Even a supreme being or a deity was not qualified to do so. Who was Ling Xiao? How dare he ask the sky-scorching demon emperor to be his mount? The crowd was dumbfounded. Ling Xiao was really daring to ask the sky-scorching demon emperor to be his mount? Everyone knew that the sky-scorching demon emperor's original form was the divine beast Fire Qilin. It was said that the heavenly emperor's mount was the Fire Qilin in ancient times. However, the sky-scorching demon emperor was so proud that he would not be willing to be someone's mount. Ling Xiao had touched the sky-scorching demon emperor's reverse scale. The crowd thought that the sky-scorching demon emperor would fly into a rage. "If you don't dare, then forget it," Ling Xiao said with a faint smile. "That's right. If you don't even dare to bet, then don't embarrass yourself here. Don't tell me you want my cousin to beat you up again?" Long Outyan's eyes widened as he chuckled and said. The sky-scorching demon emperor suddenly took a deep breath and said, "Fine. I'll bet with you, but if you lose, you have to acknowledge me as your master." The sky-scorching demon emperor's eyes were filled with cold, murderous intent as he stared at Ling Xiao. "Your Highness, don't be impulsive. This guy is very cunning. I'm afraid that he has a way to win this battle. I'm afraid that the loss will outweigh the gain," Ziwei Xingzi advised with a wry smile when he saw the sky-scorching demon emperor agree so easily. "Say no more. I've made up my mind. Ling Xiao, do you dare?" The sky-scorching demon emperor looked at Ling Xiao provocatively. "Why wouldn't I dare? I'm just afraid that you'll go back on your word. If that's the case, then make a heavenly oath." Ling Xiao smiled and took the lead to make a heavenly oath. This demon emperor's words carry enormous weight. "I'm just afraid that you won't admit it if you lose. Ling Xiao, you've lost for sure this time." The sky-scorching demon emperor snorted coldly and swore an oath. He was very sure of Dugu Shue's battle strength. Even he could not take one strike from Dugu Shue. No matter how talented Jian Wushuang was, he would definitely lose this battle. The Sword Demon Supreme Sutra was so terrifying that anyone who had seen it was already dead. Legend has it that the Sword Demon Supreme Sutra was created by the ancestor of the Dugu family, Dugu Qiubai. At that time, Du Qiubai was invincible in the world, roaming the heavens and myriad worlds, but he could not find a single defeat. Although the Sword God technique was one of the 3 great sword techniques, it was still no match for the Sword Demon Supreme Sutra. Everyone was dumbfounded. Ling Xiao and the sky-burning demon emperor were actually betting? They were betting on their freedom. If they lost, they would have to acknowledge the other as their master. Otherwise, they would be doomed eternally. The sky-burning demon emperor was not that impulsive. However, when he thought that Ling Xiao was Long Hanyan's son, he was burning with jealousy. He wanted to win Ling Xiao at all costs. When Ling Xiao acknowledged him as his master, he could torture Ling Xiao. This perverted mentality was also because of his feelings for Long Hanyan. As the saying goes, the deeper the love, the deeper the hatred. In the life and death arena, rumble. Jian Wushuang and Dugu Shue collided rapidly. They had already exchanged hundreds of blows. Every blow was earth-shattering and extremely terrifying. Awesome! The 7 strokes of heaven interception is indeed extraordinary. Next, I'm going to perform the Sword Demon Supreme Sutra. Even I can't control the power of this sword. You have to be careful. Dugu Shue stood in the air, his black hair fluttering. His eyes revealed a trace of seriousness. "All right, let's see if your Sword Demon Supreme Sutra is stronger or if my Sword God secret art is stronger. This sword will determine victory and defeat, as well as life and death." Jian Wushuang's eyes were filled with monstrous battle intent. It was as if he had never known what fear was. "All right, we'll determine victory and defeat, as well as life and death." Dugu Shue's eyes were extremely sharp. He slowly raised the great sky sword in his hand. Rumble! The heaven and earth trembled. Blazing thunderbolts filled the air. The great sky sword was heavy and mysterious. It was like an ancient divine mountain that suppressed chaos, exuding an incomparable aura of emptiness. When the Juntian sword was completely raised, the sky seemed to be torn apart. Endless demonic aura surged. Vaguely, a mysterious figure appeared on the Juntian sword. He stood with his hands behind his back, but he emitted a terrifying aura that made all living things in the world bow their heads. Does that Sword Demon Dugu Qiubai? Legend has it that although the ancestor of the Dugu family, Sword Demon Dugu Qiubai, is no longer around, his spirit has always been in the Sword Demon Supreme Sutra. Anyone who has comprehended the Sword Demon Supreme Sutra can activate a trace of the Sword Demon's power. This is the power of the Sword Demon. It's not something that humans can do. Everyone's voice was trembling. Their eyes were filled with shock. Boom! Dugu Shui slashed down with his sword. It was as if the sky had shattered and returned to chaos. The mysterious figure merged with the great sky sword and turned into a terrifying sword light that could destroy everything. It shrouded Jian Wushuang. Good timing! Jian Wushuang's eyes were filled with fighting intent. The great sky sword in his hand suddenly shone brightly. He also slashed across the sky. That sword was resplendent to the extreme. Boundless divine light sword, and the runes exploded. It was as if the mysterious scene of ascension to godhood had appeared. On top of the unparalleled divine sword, a mysterious sword spirit had awakened. This sword did not exist in the mortal world. It was as if a sword god had appeared and lit up the universe. It was so gorgeous that everyone felt that it was unreal. Sword demon versus sword god. Jian Wushuang has comprehended the sword god's skill to such an extent? Sky-burning demon emperor was shocked. He suddenly had a bad feeling. Rumble. The arena of life and death turned into a vast expanse of whiteness. Nothing could be seen. Ling Zhao's eyes flashed. Suddenly, the corners of his mouth moved slightly. A mysterious wave passed through the formation and into Jian Wushuang and Dugu Shui's ears. What? Jian Wushuang and Dugu Shui both trembled. They began to exert all their strength and frantically tried to withdraw the sword. Rumble. Rumble. The sky shook. How could the battle between sword god and sword demon be interrupted so easily? When Jian Wushuang and Dugu Shui slashed out, it meant that the sword was no longer under their control. However, at the last moment, Jian Wushuang and Dugu Shui's actions worked. Rumble. The sky shattered. Sword god, who shone with eternal light, and sword demon, who was filled with demonic aura, were submerged at the same time. Jian Wushuang and Dugu Shui were swept away by the terrifying power. They suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood and were instantly severely injured. However, their lives were saved. If they had not withdrawn the power of the sword at the last moment, they would have been instantly killed by the sword chi. There would not even be a corpse left. Both sides were injured. Was this a draw? Everyone was stunned. This was a result that no one had expected. The battle between the sword god and the sword demon ended in a draw. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.